Okay, so I'm in conversation with Helen Harper today, mixed martial artist, animal lover, climber, all round good person. Very interesting lady. I hope you enjoy the show. This is episode 4. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm really hot because I had a shower and I got some skin cream. I don't really use skin cream very much. It's called Hydrator, so I thought it might make me look a bit younger, something like that. I don't know, but it just makes me roast. So I look quite red, maybe, but anyway, that's my story. How are you?
I'm loving the straight into the skin chat. If you want to follow my skincare routine, please follow my YouTube channel. I don't talk about it.
Well, now you'll laugh at this, but
Yeah.
when I was in the shower, I was thinking, I was just going through. I have about four or five things, obviously, that I want to talk about today, and I thought, what is your skincare regime? And the reason why I ask you is because fighting is rough on the skin. It's rough on the skin. So, what's what's your inside track? What's your kind of protocols to keep your skin as good as it possibly can, without just
Genetics.
ghee burn and sorry.
Genetics.
Okay, right. So basically you're giving us
Yeah,
nothing.
I don't really do anything, to be honest.
Okay.
I really don't do anything. I'm very lax on the whole self-care thing. I wash my hair. I
Well
wash
done.
it.
That's
Every time I
great.
train, I wash my hair.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, like soap, I use Dove soap
Yeah.
on my whole body.
Okay.
That's it. That's
So
all I do.
yeah, because like talking about I struggle with is it a bar of soap?
No, I I actually, if you want to get technical, what I
Right.
actually do, which is probably quite I've never admitted this to anyone in public before.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Hand soap, like Dove hand soap, the
Yeah.
squeezy one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I use that
Okay.
on my whole body.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the best way of doing it or not, but that's what I do, and I mean it works. I've been doing that for probably about my whole adult life.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
When did your adult life start?
I don't know. Okay, I'll say from the moment I first moved out when I was 17.
Okay. Yeah.
First moved out of my mum's when I was 17. So I would say that's when adult life begins, because you have to actually look after yourself.
So I would say that is a pretty badass, and certainly that it gets the lone wolf tick. Moving
Okay.
out when you're 17, like I couldn't pee straight at 17. So tell me about that. How did that all work? Oh, without going into sort of, any kind of a traumatic family history, but that's quite a bold move, isn't it?
Well, okay. So what happened was I had horses at the time. That was like I guess my entire teenage years was all about horses.
Okay.
I worked at the yard. I had horses myself. Before I had my own horses, I looked after everyone else's because I just wanted to be around them. So I was like, well, I can't afford it, so I'll just look after everyone else's. And eventually I kind of got to the point where I could afford my own. So I had my own, had two at one point, not very long.
God.
One of them was quite badly, well, to cut a long story short, she had fused ribs, but I got her before, well, she'd only just been broken in. And so she was still growing, she was still developing. So as she developed, the fused ribs became worse. So when she would breathe heavily, if you think when you breathe heavily, your ribs are going in and out.
Yeah, yeah.
But the cartilage between two of her ribs was fused together.
Oh, wow.
She like had a problem when she was a little baby, but like in the field, if a horse gets kicked in the field, probably not going to know about it.
Mhm. Yeah, of course.
It actually shows signs of lameness. If they're turned out for the winter or something, it's that's not going to show up. So we don't really know what happened. I mean, we've never known what's happened. Like, I mean, I got her when I was like maybe 15, 16 kind of age. Anyway, so I had her, and then I also had another horse called Dragon, who was the absolute love of my life. absolutely loved that horse so much. But Dream, the first one, she was quite naughty as well, but she's just a typical stroppy woman, really.
Wow, you went there. See,
Hey, I speak for myself. I'm not,
yeah.
I'm not here to,
Okay. Yep.
remove stereotypes. I'm still a woman. So she was in a lot of pain, obviously, because of the fused ribs, and we couldn't work out what's wrong with her. Got everything checked on her body, like, got her saddle checked, got her bit checked, got her teeth checked, got her bridle checked, literally everything. There was nothing more to do than a full body x-ray. So obviously that's expensive. A horse x-ray is, it's not cheap. So it's like really the last thing possible, which is that when we found out about the fused ribs, by the way, we didn't know before that.
Okay.
However, when the fused ribs were being diagnosed, the vet asked me to trot her up, which basically means I had to lead her next to me up like a straight line so he could see her movement.
Right.
Because the thing is, she didn't particularly look lame. It was only when she was breathing heavily that she was serious. Like, you could tell she was in pain, but she didn't look it, because it wasn't to do with her legs, so it was very difficult to see it. So he wanted to see her movement. So I trotted her up and we got to the top and she just went mental, span around, kicked my ribs, broke my ribs, lacerated my liver, lacerated my kidneys. I had all this internal bleeding. I don't remember particularly this situation because I was unconscious at the time. Oh, I don't remember any of it, actually. I was unconscious. Face down I remember waking up and being like, this is really warm. Because my face was in the grass, it was like really mossy grass. So I remember, I still remember being really, because by the time I woke up, the ambulance was there. But
right.
I don't have any recollection of the bit in the middle. And I just remember being like, why is it so warm on my face? And that's always been my question. Obviously, it's moss. Moss is really warm. So
is moss warm?
If you think about, if you go out and you want to be, if is grass or moss warmer, look at the insulation.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's more like a carpet, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly. So, but obviously that didn't occur to me at the time, because I was like, why is it so warm?
You were concussed. Yeah.
It was really weird. Anyway, it turned out the horse had span round, kicked me, and then galloped off. So she'd actually galloped to the next village along. People had to go and rescue her, bring her back, and I obviously went in the ambulance and did all that. So I was working for that yard at the time, and I was 17 at this point, and I was in hospital. This also, by the way, this all happened a week before Christmas. So I was in hospital for the next 2 weeks. Right. So over Christmas, everything, I was in hospital. I was like, I don't know what they do now, but back then, bear in mind, this is what, can't count, but I'm 33 now. So yeah, a few years ago. They pretty much tried to clear everyone out at Christmas. Okay. It's like, they don't want to be.
They want an easy life, don't they?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Anyone.
So there was me on this massive ward. There was me and about 6 people, and that was it. And they were all about 90 odd. And then there was just me, who was 17. And I was only just on the adult ward. If I was a year younger, I'd have been on the pediatric ward still. But I was, just hanging out. I was just like, this is the weirdest thing. So yeah, so that was the Christmas. And then I got out of hospital and was like, okay, I've got to recover. Obviously, broken ribs, lacerated liver, lacerated kidneys. It takes a little bit of time to recover. I mean, I'm not the most patient person in the world, but I kind of knew, okay, I can't just go straight back to riding. I've got to, relax a little bit. And the people that I worked for at the yard were like, if you don't come back now, then we have to give someone else your job. So you have to make that decision now. And I was like, but I can't come back because, I was like, I think I was, the first time they said I was still in the hospital, and then the second time I just got home, and I was just like, I literally am not allowed to do anything. And if I do, then, who's to blame? It's me that's going to have to suffer the consequences, not them. Anyway, so I went, fine, I won't come back then. you know, fine, whatever. So I started looking for jobs online. It's just like, you know, why not? I was sitting there doing nothing. And the internet was a thing back then, although it wasn't a big thing, but it was a thing.
Yeah.
And I found, there's a website called Yard and Groom, which is probably still around, I imagine. But yeah, it was basically like I'd kind of used to go on it as like my little dream world of where can I work in the world? Because they would have like, you know, international jobs and all these really amazing yards that were, you know, had like show jumpers and cross country horses and all this stuff. And that, to me at that point, that was like the dream, you know. So I used to go on there and kind of like not job hunt, but just like see what was out there before. And then I was like, right, you know what? I'm just going to apply to all the jobs that I want to apply to. I'm just going to do it. So I applied to like literally every job on the site I pretty much applied to. And I got a reply from this yard in Ireland, and they were like, when can you start? And I was like, well, I mean, I've just come out of hospital. I'm not allowed to work until whenever that it was.
Sure.
But as soon as that happens, I can start any time, kind of thing. Like as soon as the time's up, I can start any time. And they were like, yep, okay, fine, no problem. Come for an interview. And then if you like it, then you can start on that date that, you know, that you said, like, you know, once you're fixed, kind of thing. And I was like, okay. So I went over for an interview. It was all good, happy days. Moved there in like the February, and just, yeah.
So basically, this is even deeper, because so not only did you move out of your house, but you also moved to a different country.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Were you like, what was going through your head? Were you like fearful about it? Were you nervous, or were you just like,
all the time,
you know, when you're young, you're just like, hey, let's go and live in a different country.
Yeah, you just get on with it. I don't think I really even thought anything of it, to be honest. Like, I don't ever remember thinking like, oh, I'm moving. It was just like, that's just what I'm doing.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's just like, all right, cool, let's go.
That's interesting. So you kind of just took it in your stride and like, I'm going to do this. So now it's about the admin and logistics of making that happen, as opposed to, you know, going meta to that and kind of like, oh, but what if? You were just like, no, let's just straightforward, straight ahead.
Yeah. It was all just like, right, they don't want me, someone else does, let's go.
Yeah. Wow.
Pretty much. I don't know. Like, I kind of think about it now, but like, I don't ever remember even hesitating to go. Just been like, oh, that's such a cool opportunity. Let's go and do it. Was
that like a common thing in your life? You're kind of like, just like heat-seeking missile kind of thing, and so you remember doing that in your childhood, sort of previous. That was your kind of like, just go get it sort of mindset.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah. Why sit there and think about it for a year?
And is that, do you think that's sort of maintained? Have you ever reached a point where you're just like, I just should think a little bit about it, you know, that kind of, or was it?
I guess I do think more now, but not really. I mean, like, I think a little bit more about the future, but I mean, I think about the future as in like, what is the best thing to do? What's the best route to take? But if I think what I'm saying is, once I've decided on a path, I don't see the point in hanging around.
Right. Gotcha.
It takes me a long time to get to that decision sometimes. So I'll think of all the I'll do the decision making process. But once I've made the decision, I go.
It's done. Okay. That's really cool.
That's it. You just make the decision, you do it. That's it. There's no once the decision is made, there's no second guessing. That's it. You just do it. So
so they sell Dove skincare in Ireland then, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Maybe they make it in Ireland.
I don't think it was the same brand. I think it was it's the same logo.
Oh right, okay, cool.
They have like so in some countries it's called Pure, but it's the same logo. So I think it's the same company, but it's just a different picture. It's like Opal and Corsa, or Opal and
I get you, yeah, because was that the one where it was just like, there was one advert where it was like they were pouring milk and it became a bar of soap or something like that.
It's probably that.
Yeah. Cool. Why would you talk about soap? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So okay, so basically you haven't got any particular skincare regime. You're just like, well, you're like, it's minimal.
You're right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So what are you up to at the minute then?
In life, or
Yeah.
just living the dream casually. Um,
Yeah.
Working on
All
my
the
business.
above.
Yeah, my business is taking a lot of my time. Uni's taking a lot of my time. Unfortunately, training's not really taking any of my time. Well, it's taking a bit of my time, but
Okay.
not enough. Quite
Sure.
frankly,
Yeah.
I would like to be training more.
Yeah.
I'm not at all. You know.
For people that don't know you,
Yep.
like what is your business and what does that look like on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so my business is called HHH Self Defense. That stands for Helen Harper, which is incidentally my fight name.
Okay.
So that's that. So HHH Self Defense. Like when I started it, it was meant to be just pure self defense. I wanted to teach women. I wanted to teach like corporate. I wanted to, like help as many people as I could. And then I realized that people don't really want to be helped unless they want to be helped. As in, if I would just talk to some random person and be like, everyone should learn self-defense, they'd be like, yeah, that's a really nice idea, but I don't need it.
Yeah, cheers, bye. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I got really, like, obviously, I mean, I take everything personally. This is very much a theme in my life.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm terrible for it, yeah.
So what's that about then? How did you learn to take things personally?
Probably my family.
So does that help you? Do you think that helps you, hinders you, or a bit of both? Or
fucking pain in the ass.
Right.
I hate it. It does my head in, but I tried to stop it so many times and it just doesn't, like, there's something that just, there's a block there that just doesn't work.
So you keep taking things personally?
I always take things personally. And now I've kind of, in the last year or so, I've just decided to accept it.
Okay.
I think, so I'm a very emotional person. Anyone that knows me will know this. Very emotional. I'm very passionate. I take everything personally. I'm either at 0 or 100 miles an hour. There's no like middle ground for me. It's either I'm doing everything at the same time or I'm doing nothing and I'm probably crying in bed. Like there's no different. That's the two options.
Okay.
And I've always been like that. And I think I've always tried to, a lot of, for example, coaches in the past have been like, oh, you're too emotional, you're too crazy, you're too this, you're too that. And I've always tried to change. And I've always tried to like not be that like that. And it makes it worse because I'm trying so hard not to be.
Because you're pushing against it.
Yeah. But the more I kind of go, you know what, I'm just emotional. It's not because I'm upset, it's because I care so much.
Okay.
Right. And I cry all the time. Right. I cry all the fucking time. Especially in training, I cry in training. If I get it's not because I'm angry, it's because I'm frustrated with myself.
It's so funny. I listened to the audiobook of Ronda Rousey, and she's kind of exactly the same in that she, because if you look at all the press and stuff that when she was in UFC, I mean she is a super hard case, hard case, but she was saying like I cry at everything. There's this sort of flip side that is like when she's not being an absolute hard ass is that she she just cries all the time, cries in training, cries whether she wins, whether she loses. So similar.
All the time. And I mean, like I actually remember when I got my purple belt from Jude, and he was like, Helen, this is the one time I actually think it's okay that you cry and you're not crying. And I was just like, yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? It's like, this is the only time like it's okay to cry. You got your purple belt. And I was like, I can't cry, I'm too happy.
Oh wow, okay. I'm surprised.
It was so weird. It was the only time I've just been like, I'm actually don't need to cry. Like it was the weirdest situation. But I think that other than that, I do cry all the time. Like it's and as I said, like I used to push against it all the time and be like, don't cry, like
stuff that
and just get like, trying not to be too me. I'll be yourself, but not too much. But now I'm just like, you know what? I'm just emotional and I just have to accept that. And the more I try and push against it, the worse it gets. So, okay, fine. Like, just accept the fact that I cry all the time. It's not because I'm angry. It's because I'm frustrated with myself, but I will carry on. I'm not going to stop training. I'm just going to cry while I'm doing it. And sometimes you just have to kind of roll with it, I guess. I mean, they display their emotion in different ways, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I first started doing sort of therapy and coaching with people, you know, 12 years ago, whatever it was, you know, and you're working with somebody and, you know, they've got this issue. And at first it's like, you know, it's a big deal. And, you know, if they cry, it's like, oh my God, like it's a real cataclysmic moment, you know, it's awful and stuff like that. But quite often it's just part of the process. It's part of their personal process, and it's nothing to do with you, unless you said that, you know, you suck or you smell or something like that. But so it's, yeah. So yeah, I guess I agree with what you're saying, that it's just part of that person's process. So it's just like, well, okay, give them a bit of space so they can do their thing. And then you continue, like I'm sure in training, like you'll, you know, if you cry in training, you'll have a cry and then you'll crack on. You know, it's not like, oh, right, toys out of the
I
pram.
literally don't even stop most of the time.
Yeah.
I'll start crying and then I'm just like, right, this is happening. Just carry on.
That gives you such a massive, if you were rolling with a guy, I think that'd give you such a massive advantage. If you could kind of like turn on the tears to be crying while you're rolling with a guy, they'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry.
No. Because the thing is that like, I don't like, okay, I do cry all the time, but I equally don't like it when people like feel sorry for me.
Sure. Okay.
If somebody was to go lighter on me because I was crying, I would also not like that.
And you, the rage would come.
I need to learn.
Yeah.
I need to learn, but I need to get through this frustration. I just need to push through it, but push against it. It's like, it's a kind of a weird way to look at it, but it's like, okay, just push through it. Don't push against it. If you push against it, it gets worse. If you push through it, you come out the other side, you're going to be stronger. And like, I know I get stronger when I do that. When I push through it, I know I can feel it. Like I'm getting mentally stronger here, but I have to go through it. I can't just push against it and go, no, don't cry. Because then it's just like, it's like getting to, you know, like a speed bump, you know, those really rough speed bumps that are like really up and overy. It's like going up to the speed bump, getting halfway up it and then just stopping.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't get anywhere. You just end just kind of sing at the bottom of the speed bump, just like, okay, what do I do now? And it's like, if you go at it with like full momentum, it's going to be hard when you land, but then you're going to have a nice soft onward journey and it's all going to be okay. So I guess like that's part of the all or nothing kind of mentality for me, is like, I'm constantly pushing myself over speed bumps, but I have to use that momentum to get myself over them. Otherwise, I'll just stop. And that's when I end up crying in bed.
But it also speaks of consistency, though, doesn't it? It's like, you know, that you've kind of recognized that you need to build up some momentum, and you've acknowledged that pain, like being in the crucible kind of thing, that is absolutely, that's where the, almost like the good work is done, when you know, so in so many arenas of life, you know, when you're absolutely suffering, you know, that's, you know, maybe not in every single you know, possible category and arena of life, but in so many, you know, when you're actually like, this is excruciating, and you know, it's the, you know, it's the sort of like, you know, the typical kind of like self-help, when you're outside your comfort zone, you know, there's outside your comfort zone and there's like ridiculously outside your comfort zone, but quite often being outside your comfort zone is depressingly where growth seems to be for a lot of things.
Well, definitely. And I think as well, there's something to be said about where you're going outside of your comfort zone, as in which direction you're going. If your comfort zone's here, this is progression. This is progression. I'm, by the way, using hand gestures that people listening to audio only are not going to understand.
That's all right.
Just realised that.
they'll have to catch it on YouTube, won't they?
It's all right. It's on YouTube, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've got to go. So, you know, here's your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You've got to go forward. If you go backwards, you're also out of your comfort zone, but in the wrong way, in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You have to push yourself forward, and sometimes that's harder, but it's always worth it. And as long as you're going in the right direction, you've got the right support around you, you know, you have to be doing it for the right reasons. Otherwise, you know, it's generally a mistake, I think, or not a mistake, maybe a lesson.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, that's a really pertinent comment, you know, the whole idea of reason, you know, that sort of, that smells like purpose, you know, it's like you've got to, I remember, I think there was I think it was Spencer Hewitt's when he was running Terror Squad, the MMA Terror Squad out in Romford. Yeah, I remember him having a t-shirt and I really liked it, and it was like I think it was like, I know why I'm here, know your why, or something like that. I know it's a bit cheesy, but I thought that's really good. You know, I
It's
really
true
like the idea of
though.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, if you've got reasoning behind doing something, and even in at the worst point, you can still be like, you know what, this is shit, but I'm actually glad that it's shit so I can come out the other side. And
yeah,
you know, if it's really something you want to do that badly, then the worse it gets, the better it will feel.
yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Definitely.
And so you were saying about the self-defense, and you're like, right, I'm going to take it to corporate and do this, and then you said this really interesting thing was like, people don't want to be helped unless they want help. And I kind of, and that sounds like it doesn't make sense, but actually when you pass it through your brain a couple of times, it's like, it's like, here, I've got this great thing that's going to help you, but it's that kind of thing that they have to, like, I've realized that I need this thing. There has to be that sort of I think it's one of those things that, you know, for a lot of people, for a lot of what I'd call regular people, you know, people that are interested in fighting and interested in martial arts and stuff like that, I think, you know, we're a sort of a bit of a different tribe, whereas most people, the idea of, like, you know, rolling around with sweaty men and women that are trying to hurt you, you know, is a weird thing. You know, it's a weird thing, you know, or to get punched in the face and you know, and kicked and all the rest of it. It seems like a weird thing. Whereas, you know, I don't know about you, but I look at golf and I'm like,
why would you do that?
Why would you do
why would you,
darts?
like, just why would you waste your time when you could be rolling?
Yeah, well, you could be running or walking or anything, but yeah. Anyway, so that's just me. That's just my bias. So so tell us about how you kind of dealt with that kind of like situation of, like, where you're going, I've got this great thing, and obviously you're massively experienced in martial arts, you know, fighting and stuff. You really know your onions clearly. But if people don't think that they want it, like, how did you deal with that? And how did you allow your business to kind of develop and sort of and shape itself to meet the needs of the people, kind of thing?
So after I went down the corporate road, I kind of had a bit of a word with myself, because the reason I wanted to go down the corporate road, I was like, oh, I could, you know, teach people in London because they pay loads. And then I thought, well, I don't really care about that. As long as I've got a roof over my head and I've got food on the table, I'm not like really bothered about being a millionaire, or, you know, like, I'm not like chasing money all the time. I'm like, I'd rather people just know stuff to be able to look after themselves. Like, that's more important to me. It's more important. Obviously, I need to have a roof over my head and
Of course, yeah.
have food on the table, because food's amazing. We'll talk about that later.
For
but it's not, to me, that's not my main priority. That's not my why.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like, it just doesn't excite me like someone having a breakthrough, someone learning something. That excites me. And I was like, right, I can't go down this road because it doesn't excite me. It just doesn't. Like, I'm not getting a buzz from it.
So at first, did you, like, it sounds like you sort of like drunk the Kool-Aid, you know, studied, like, you know, the sort of marketing stuff that's out there, and like, okay, got to chase that dollar, you know, got to get that money, kind of thing. And then had this realization, that's not, you know, like how you were saying when your coaches say, stop being emotional. And you're like, no, that's, being emotional is my authentic self. And it sounds like you had a similar kind of like realization where you're like, actually, as long as I can get paid and get money and live and stuff, you know, you're in it for the love of it, as opposed to, you know, just chasing, like, you know, like a McDojo type thing.
And it's kind of weird also just talking about the money side, because people don't talk about money unless they're boasting, I find.
Mm.
You know, oh, I earn £10,000 in 1 month, and oh, okay, shut up. You know, like I'm like, okay, well, that's great for you, but to me, I'd rather like be able to help more people.
Yeah.
And those people can't afford that. Like the average person cannot afford that,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of money, you know? So I'm like, okay, but at the same time, I don't want to be undercharging, because I want people to respect me, because I'm like,
Value what you're doing and stuff.
yeah, because I charged too little at one point.
Sure.
And so, because I went the other way, I charged too little, and people were not showing up to the sessions. They were like, yeah, whatever, you know, really enthusiastic when they start for a week, and then going, oh, whatever. And it's like, because they're paying too little.
There's no investment, is there? There's no psychological investment.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I mean, I do pro bono work for certain, you know, for certain people, and it's the free sessions. They're just you know, they're either no shows or they're, you know, like it'll just be a bad time. So yeah, I think you're right. You have to learn to, and I think part of that is kind of like learning to value yourself.
Yep.
But and going, do you know what? I've been doing this a long time. I have skills, and you know, you sort of have a conversation, or at least I remember I had a conversation like, look, I might not be the best in the world, but I'm, you know, I'm doing the best that I can, kind of thing. And I've, you know, I'm fairly good at this or that and the other and stuff. And I think that, you know, you reach a point where you're like, okay, well, this isn't going to last. And if you don't, and I think it's a real milestone, because once you realize that, then you sort of relax about it, don't you?
Yeah.
And when you did have that point where you sort of relaxed about it, what did you notice about you know, the amount of people that you were working with? Did it stay the same? Did it increase? Like what happened?
I think, I mean, I've definitely had so another thing is, since lockdown, I had to kind of reposition myself as well. So this initial work was, I guess, a year and a half before lockdown started, where I was going all corporate. And obviously now that would be a terrible mistake, you know, like that wouldn't be the way to go at all. Like, you know, if someone said, oh, I'm aiming for corporate, you'd be like, what? Why are you doing that? Because the whole world's changed. But before, it was sort of like, okay, I'm just going to take whatever is offered to me, because what is offered to me is what people want. So I'm just going to see what people want and just talk to people, ask them, do you want to learn this? Do you want to learn this? Like, how does this sound? I did like a shit ton of surveys, got people's feedback, like, oh, does this sound good? Does this sound good? Like, what sounds, and knowing that I know what I teach is pretty much going to be the same, self-defense wise, because there are good ways to defend yourself and there are shit ways to defend yourself. And I'm obviously not going to be teaching them. But it's not about what you're teaching. It's about how you dress it up for people.
Sure.
So, for example, okay, do you want to learn how to not get strangled, or do you want to learn how to defend someone that attacks you from the back when you're out running? So one of those is more likely. It's the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You're more likely to want to take the opportunity for, like, oh, I start running, okay, I want to learn how, if someone grabs me from behind when I'm running, I want to know how to defend them. But they're not thinking about being strangled, they're thinking about someone grabbing them when they go out running or whatever, you know. It's like, how I'm going to be teaching you the exact same thing. It's a rear naked choke defense. That's it. That's all I'm teaching. I know that, you know that, people know that. But to a non-jiu-jitsu person, to a, you know, non-martial arts person, that's a different thing. And that's the problem that I had. And that's the kind of what I had, the route I had to go down, was how to kind of put it out there, how to talk to people, how to talk to non-fighters. I had to relearn how to talk to non-fighters. Which was a challenge, I can tell you.
It's so funny because you started the conversation talking about near the beginning of the conversation talking about horses, and and whether you realized it or not, you were using loads of jargon. I was like, you're saying it with such familiarity. You've clearly been around horses, and it's like almost like that expectation that it's got to run out. Like, what? But you went on to explain what it was, but so you can kind of figure out what it is. But there's this jargon that is, that you kind of like, that is, you pick up via osmosis. There's certain terms that are used in different sports and pastimes and stuff like that. And I think in the fight game, and I know that you've got a quite big following on Instagram and stuff like that, and it's like, I can imagine it must have been quite hard, sort of, because they're already doing fighting anyway, so they're not your audience. So it's like,
exactly.
you have to kind of like, I have to step away from that and kind of like cleanse my brain from like doing that and all the rest of it, and create not a different persona, but like a side of yourself, like like a presentation for yourself that other people could relate to, that is like that, like you're running in the woods and stuff. Was that hard? Like, how did you do that?
Well, so this is part of the reason that I set up a business account on Instagram, because so there's, if you ask like marketing people, some people will say you are your business, so your personal account and your business account should be the same thing. Like you should be doing the same. And I'm like, I get that thought, I get the thought process, but for me it's two different heads.
Yeah.
And on my business account, I am coaching people. I'm very patient. I'm much less sarcastic than I am in real life. At least I try to be. I'm still a little bit sarcastic, but you can't hide it all. And I'm very positive. I'm very structured with everything. I try and talk about things that matter. So it's very kind of focused. Whereas with my personal page, which is obviously the page I've had since I pretty much started fighting, it's very fighty, it's very jiu-jitsu-y, it's very, okay, lately it's just been about dogs, but that's because of lockdown. That's, that is what it is. I'm not training, so I can't post training photos. There aren't any. I mean, I'm cycling, but it's not quite the same, is it?
Oh, hell no.
But it's two different sides of me, I think, and I always kind of struggled with having the two people at the same time. So to me, Hellraiser has always been my alter ego, and when I get in the ring I turn into Hellraiser, or sometimes I don't, and that's when I lose. But if I win, it's because I've turned into Hellraiser, and that's when I'm like, I'm not taking any shit, I'm just getting on with the job in hand, and that's it. And I'm really driven, I'm really like, this is what's happening. When I'm teaching, when I'm coaching, I'm Helen. Okay. And even though I have the name HHH, it's just like, that's just a nod to my fighting career, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm not the same person, so I don't want to have the same
sort of connotations and stuff.
Yeah. So that's the reason I had the two. And so that's why when I'm in business mode or when I'm in Helen mode, I can break everything down really nice and easy for people. I would not call it guard. I would call it rape defense. I like armbar from close guard, triangle from close guard. That's not
again, isn't it?
That's rape defense now. Things like that. So it's like, but that's how people that don't train will understand it, because they're not gonna like, well, I don't need to know why to wrap my legs around someone's head. Like, I'm never going to need to know that in my life, Oh, what happens when someone's putting their pressure down on you and trying to choke you out? Look, their arm is straight there. What can you do with a straight arm? Well, anytime the arm is straight, you can armbar it, and they understand the fact that an armbar is a hyperextension of the elbow, and that makes sense to them. So it's like more about the physics. It's more about the opportunity of, if an arm is straight, you can break it. Whereas and if you're in danger, obviously I'm not sending people out onto the streets to armbar them. But if to a fighting person, you just be like, oh, like whatever, like armbar, triangle, Kimura, whatever, but non-fighting people aren't going to know what the hell you're talking about. They're just gonna, hyperextension.
Yeah.
I know what hyperextensions are because of like physio and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess it's just terminology more than anything.
Okay. So did you say rape defense? Did I hear you right?
Yeah.
Jesus. Like, how does that help people remember?
Yeah, because
it's like, geez, I need to get this right.
So, well, the thing is that is why I started martial arts in the first place.
Okay.
Because not because I knew the defense, because I didn't know the defense.
Okay.
So when you're working off your back, you're not trying to score points or trying to get a submission in a competition.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? What's the average person doing on their back trying to defend themselves? That's, you don't just like, or like you've been pushed over by some thief robber guy, you've been pushed over. How do you get up?
Yeah.
Get up.
Yeah.
But people don't know that. They get up, they come onto their knees, they, hold on to something. They get, people don't even, so lately I've been doing some dog walking safety seminars. So self-defense for dog walkers. And I got in the last one, I got everyone to lie on the ground on their back and then get up. And it took them ages. And then I taught them how to do a technical get up.
Stand up. Yeah.
And they were like, oh, I can get up and actually move.
And be safe and be safe. Yeah.
And be facing the person that's trying to attack me and dog,
Yeah.
Things like that. But it's like that sort of thing. I think technical get up is the most important thing because you're getting up with balance.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
it's
just crazy.
Yeah, it's such a if you look at the whole structure of the technical stand-up, it's fantastic, and it's like it's the only, once you learn it, it's nearly the only ever way you'll ever stand up again, because like you realize it's such a, you're creating like a real nice tripod so you feel secure, and you could possibly take some pushing and shoving as well as a little bit. It's amazing. So if anyone,
I remember, so I used to train with Andy Roberts. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah, shout out to Andy. I'm just like name dropping all my coaches at this point. Ever had like, hey everyone. So I remember at Andy's back in the day, this is a good few years ago, his old academy. He's got a new academy now, which I haven't even seen yet. But he had a rule at one point where you could only get up with a technical get up, and if you got up without a technical get up, you had to do burpees.
Yeah.
I've never since then, I mean, this is like 7 years ago ish.
Yeah.
I've never got up without a technical get up because I always think I have to do burpees.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I have to do burpees. And I'm like, that was 7 years ago. Why am I still thinking this? But it's so ingrained in my head that I'm like, oh, I must get up properly.
No,
it's crazy.
Well, yeah, but if it sticks, it's worth doing. So if people, so obviously, I guess you're doing stuff which is more online now. So what are you doing, like Zoom classes or something like that? Like, what does that look like?
So I do Zoom workshops, mostly bigger groups. So that's more or less just to introduce myself to people, or one-off workshops. So like the dog self-defense workshops, I'm doing one free, but so just like maybe a little mini series or something like that. But generally speaking, what I say to people is going to one self-defense class or one self-defense workshop is not going to help you, but practicing it and learning why you're doing what you're doing and reacting is going to help you. And if you know the basics, just reacting in the right way will help you a lot. But do you think that there's a danger of people going to one workshop? And I say this in every single workshop I do. There's a danger of people going to one workshop and thinking they know it all and feeling a bit too safe, and something happening to them, and then it all turning to shit because they haven't practiced anything. They've just gone to a workshop and gone, yeah, I pretty much know what's up now. Still good. So I'm pretty much a pro now. Still good.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, no, after like 1,000 hours of practicing it, I'll consider it, but not until then, So workshops for me is more about introducing myself to the, so to speak, community. So whichever community it is, dog walking community, or, whatever it is at that point. And then I do bubbles at the moment. So I'm coaching bubbles.
Okay.
So whoever is in your bubble, you can obviously have physical contact with, and whoever's in your bubble, you can train with and be on Zoom with. So I just coach people like on Zoom, but so like as I would in a class, but I'm on Zoom. You know, try putting your left hand there, put your right hand there. Why do you think you would do that? It's the same questions. It's the same. I'm coaching people the same, just from a distance.
Has your teaching style kind of changed, evolved, adapted because of the technology?
Yeah, very much. So I'm very hands-on. So for example, if someone's get a great example is someone has their guard up and they put their guard up with their elbow out, and you say, oh, elbows in, and they go, yeah, it comes right back up, right? Yeah, it comes right back up, right? So that's a really common mistake, and I think pretty much everyone that starts training at some point has a problem with their elbows sticking out like chicken wings.
Yeah.
All right, so that's super common. So what I would do in real time would be to move their elbow so that they can feel where it's in the right place. So okay, this is how it feels. Okay, I'll put it in exactly the right place, right? This is how it feels. Okay, remember that feeling, and if it doesn't feel like that, it's not right.
Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah, that's
okay,
good.
so I can literally manipulate their arm and go, right, this is where it should be. Okay, whereas now I can't do that. So I have to use, well, in some ways it's nice because people can always see themselves because they have a camera on all the time. So that's good when you don't have mirrors. It's nice to have a camera in front of you because you can actually see what the hell you're doing. So that's really helpful, but I guess I'm just talking more, which is for most people not a good thing. But you just have to roll with it. Yeah, I mean, I've been to some coaching workshops in the last year or so, and one of them in particular I really liked, when you took a sense away. So you had to teach blindfolded, or you had to teach without speaking, or you had to teach without touching, without manipulating them at all. Once you take a sense away, you find out how much you use it. And for me, making the transition of not being able to touch someone, not being able to move them around, it was really difficult. But I mean, it's possible, but it's difficult.
Yeah, it probably expands your coaching, your teaching repertoire, being able to, to go through that and then come out the other side and go, okay, right. So now you've got, you've richened, your other kind of the other modality kind of thing, haven't you?
For sure, definitely.
Yeah. So what are they like, programs, or is it like is it like ongoing relationships that you have with people, for coaching them and stuff? Or
so I work 5 days a week. All of my so Monday to Friday, all of my students have one session on Zoom, and then the other 4 sessions of the week I send them a workout, so basically like backs up what I've taught them. So for example, if they had the Zoom on Monday, then Monday there's the Zoom, they learn what they're going to basically do for the rest of the practice for the rest of the week, and then that's an hour. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they have about 15 minutes a day where they just practice one thing a day. So it's the little and often consistency. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's incredible. Like I've got my students. Okay, I'm going to brag a little bit here because my students are like, they're so incredible. They work so hard and they are so dedicated. And it's like, just having them is pretty much getting me through lockdown. Just my students. Like they're just incredible.
So what's lockdown been like for you? Because I mean, it's been different for other people, and I mean, I think largely I loved loads of it, but I think, what was it today? I was just like, oh God, there's so much crap I want to get out of my house. you know, and just like we're having like a shed, you know, like shedding stuff and getting rid of it. And I was just like, slammed the door. I was just like, oh, I'm so tired of this shit kind of thing. But how has it affected you? Have you kind of grown in some ways? Have you struggled in other, like, what's been your experience?
Both
Right.
grown and struggled. Um, so I, at the beginning of lockdown 1, which seems like a lifetime ago,
It's a year ago.
it's not quite even a year ago, you know.
Yeah, I think was it the end of March or something like that,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
So we're not quite there, but
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the first lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
my landlord went on a drunken rampage and decided to kick me out. So, which was delightful of him. It was about 2 weeks into lockdown. 2 weeks into lockdown. Yeah, it was like he'd been on basically a drunken rampage for like 2 weeks, and
Okay.
I was getting really just like, this is not working for me. I'm trying to work, like this is not good. And he was, you know, playing music till 5 a.m. and had the police round because the neighbors complained and all this stuff. Oh, fun times. Anyway, so he kicked me out. So I moved back to my mum's and I was like, I'll just live here until lockdown's over,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that would be a few months. And I'm still here. So spent more time with my mum in the last year than I have done for my rest of my adult life.
Right.
So that's been nice. I'm in beautiful part of the world, Hampshire, in the middle of nowhere,
Wow.
in a forest. It's gorgeous. The chickens are here. They're amazing. They're very entertaining.
We got to talk about them.
Yeah, we can talk about them.
Yeah.
They are just amazing. I love them. In lockdown 3, I've got really into cycling. Ironically, it's the wettest and coldest lockdown that we've had, but apparently that's the time I decide to go outside. Work that one out. So I broke my ankle last year when we were vaguely allowed out, and I fell off a cliff. So I thought that would be a great way to start the summer.
How did that happen?
Oh, I fell
off a cliff. Like, what were you climbing? Because I know that you're a climber. I want to talk to you about that as well.
Yeah. So I'm a climber as well, but I would say I'm not particularly that great. I try very hard, but I'm not very good. So anyway, I was doing a route down in Portland. So we're a couple of my friends were in Portland for a weekend, and I just went down for one day. And I was on my last route of the day, and a friend of mine was belaying me, and I got to the last hold. I thought, fuck it, I'll just dyno, it'll be all right. And that apparently wasn't the best idea I'd ever had.
So run that by me again. So you were kind of working your way down, right?
No, I was going up still.
Okay, yeah.
On my way up. So it's about, I think the cliffs are about, most of them about 25-ish meters.
Okay.
So it's not the biggest, but it's not the smallest.
That's enough to die from if you fall off.
Well, no, I was on a rope, but so when you're leading, you basically you climb up a bit and then you clip in, and then you climb up a bit more and you clip in, you climb up a bit more, clip. So when you get to the top, you clip into like a double carabiner thing.
Okay.
And then you go down. All right.
Right.
So when you climb up, you clip in. When you climb up again, you're only attached to the last clip.
Right. Okay.
You go up about maybe 4 meters, so give or take, 3 meters probably, from that clip, and then you get to the next one. But in that time, 3-4 meters, whatever it is, you're only attached to the last one. So you're only going to fall, if you fall, you're only going to fall down a certain amount, but you're still going to fall.
That's not good.
It's fine, usually. My leading's actually pretty good compared to the rest of my climbing, I would say. It's probably my strongest. Well, not now, because I haven't done it since last year. But it was my strongest. And I was feeling really good. I was feeling really strong. I was feeling really confident. I felt great, actually. It was probably the best day climbing I did last year. It was amazing. And yeah, I just pure stunned it. I just got really angry with myself, and I was like, come on, you can't just give up on this. You've just got to do it. Come on. had a word with myself and thought, right, I'm not going to reach. I tried to reach it statically. I just could not reach it. It was just out of my reach. But my two friends had already done it, and they're a little bit taller than me. In fact, a lot taller than me. One of them is about 6 foot, and I am 100% not 6 foot. And I just thought, you know what? If I don't jump for this, I'm going to regret it. And I did, and then I broke my ankle.
So, and you did regret it?
I didn't regret it though.
Oh, really?
No, not really.
Okay.
I thought I would regret it more if I hadn't taken the chance.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's another one of those where if it's the same as like moving country when I was 18. It's like once I've made the decision, if it fucks up or if it goes well, I've made that decision. That's it.
Like you're owning it.
I'm not like, I don't regret it at all. It was annoying and it sucked having the broken ankle when the weather was so nice, and you know, my friends were all going climbing and I was sat at home like a loner, and it sucked, you know, big time. But actually, would I have done it any different? Yeah, well, I would have not fallen off. Yeah, but apart from that, I would have still gone for it.
Right. You would have like used the same technique, or
no, I would have just been a better climber.
Right. Okay.
Would have been a bit taller, maybe been a bit stronger.
You're willing yourself to be taller.
Yeah,
that's something.
Keep trying. Might work. You never know.
So talk to me about the chickens thing, because I love looking at the pictures of the chickens.
My chickens, they're the best, aren't they? They're my chickens when they're being naughty, and they're my mum's chickens when they're being good.
Power sharing, right?
Yeah. So so my favorite, I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but she's like my little baby, Rosie. I love her so much.
Okay.
And then the other two, Daisy, she's an old lady now, and Maisie. So Daisy's the oldest. She's the oldest by about a year and a half-ish. So she's getting on a bit, bless her. But
how long do chickens live?
Well, Daisy's the oldest chicken we've ever had, and she's coming up to 5.
Okay.
So that's quite old for a chicken.
Is it right?
Yeah. So we rescue them from like battery farms.
Amazing.
So there's a couple of places that do. They basically pick them up from. So after the chickens have been taken to battery, or they're at a battery farm, eggs, and then they'll kill some of them, but some of them they're just given to the charities, and charities will rehome them pretty much. So instead of them, basically. So we always get them from this one charity, and they do like rehoming days. Obviously they're not doing them at the moment because of COVID, but they have been. We've had chickens for. I think I got my mum chickens for her birthday must be about 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
So that was the first lot, and then she's pretty much had them ever since, and they're pretty cool though. They're like really low maintenance, and they're just so happy just to be there.
Are they affectionate? Do they give you affection?
Depends what mood they're in.
Oh, right.
Rosie's like, Rosie, you can pick her up, but she like it's on her terms. So like if you pick her up and she's in a nice mood, she'll like rest her chin on you, like here.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
Like she just sit there, and then she's had enough. She's like, right, okay, I'm getting down now, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so, but Daisy's a bit like, because she's an old lady, so she's a bit slow. You can pick her up quite easy, but she doesn't. She's always a bit. I think she might have like dementia or something. Bless her. Like she's not really in this world. She's just sort of like, just in her own little bubble.
Yeah.
Daisy is very difficult to pick up. She's all right when she's up, but she's not like being picked up.
All right, okay. That's really cool that they've got their own little personalities.
Oh yeah, they've got big personalities. Yeah. Very cheeky, very naughty. So very hungry, she just jumps up onto the windowsill and just stares at you until you feed her.
Are they expensive to feed?
Not really, no.
They just eat like what? Just bird seed, or is it?
No. So we have like pellets. So it's like chicken pellets. And then which is, it's like you get a bag and it lasts for like 2 months. So
okay, that's cool.
So they last quite a long time. They don't eat like a massive amount, to be honest. And then we have corn as well for them, especially in the winter. To be honest, ours are so spoiled. In the winter, they get either couscous or porridge.
Wow.
And we want them to be warm.
Yeah.
So spoiled, seriously. And
That's cool.
they have like like bits of tomato. If you chop the end off the tomato, they'll eat all that.
Not the
Carrot.
green stalk kind of thing.
No, they're like, so there's like in the middle of the tomato, there's
The
like
nubbin.
yeah, like you don't really want to do that bit, but just
Mm.
but I always make it bigger for them because then they love it, and they love grapes. They love basically anything kind of sweet, so like carrot.
Really?
Yeah, grapes, tomatoes. They sometimes like peppers, but like the stalk bit, the bit around the stalk, but not the rest of it. They're really fussy. They love.
So
they really like courgette. They attack courgette. They like lettuce. It's not their favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. They're just killing it on the diet, then, aren't they?
Into the life of my chickens.
Yeah, no, I love it. Right, so when you were growing up, like what did life look like? Was it good? Did you enjoy it? Was it troublesome? Like, what was going on for you?
Fairly fucking atrocious, I think.
Okay.
Started drinking quite heavily when I was quite young.
What age?
11.
Okay. Wow, that's really young.
Not ideal. Yeah. I mean, I probably didn't start drinking heavy till like 13, 14, but I was still drinking when I was 11.
Right.
Quite troubled. Yeah, I mean,
like just like nicking booze out of like, from the house or something like that, or?
Oh no, my dad used to buy it for us.
Oh, right. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he was like, he's an alcoholic. Well, he was an alcoholic.
Okay. Right.
So he's just buy us whatever. Like, oh yeah, here you go. Right. Okay,
so it kind of normalized it, I guess.
Yeah, completely normal. Like, didn't even really like bat an eyelid.
Wow.
Yeah, just used to buy us whatever, like alcohol. Here you go.
What's your like attitude and relationship with alcohol now?
I don't drink.
Oh, really?
For almost 4 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, in May it'll be 4 years.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So what made you make that decision?
I'm a fucking liability, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a nightmare. I make very questionable decisions, and
really?
as I said, when I make a decision, I do tend to follow through with it.
Right.
But when I'm drunk, I make decisions that I really shouldn't.
Yeah.
Do still.
And you'll still follow through them?
Yeah, always.
Okay.
So I think it's better for everyone around me that I don't drink. So yeah, that's basically why I don't, just to save everyone else and myself, but more to save other people.
Yeah. That's
not a very nice person when I drink. I'm a bit of a dick.
Oh really? Yeah. It's so weird, isn't it? Like
what I say I'm a bit of a dick. I think what it is that I'm a dick, but it's because I make stupid decisions.
Right.
So I think that things are a great idea, and then it's like, and then I get everyone else to do it, and then it's like, if I'd just done that on my own, no one would have batted an eyelid. But because I made everyone else do it, now I look like a right dick because I've just got everyone else in trouble.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, just stop drinking, Helen. You're done. You're drunk.
So you got into the horses, and then so you're over in Ireland at 17. Like, how long did you stay in horses before you kind of transitioned into martial arts and stuff?
So I moved to Ireland when I was 17. Then I moved back, worked on some yards in England, Task Force for a bit, year and a half as a van driver. I still had horses at that point. I just didn't work with them. Then what did I do? Ran a cleaning company.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'd done some quite random stuff. What else have I done? I can't think. And then when I was 20, then I was working in loads of pubs, so like a couple of different pubs.
Right.
Then when I was 23, I was in this bad relationship, and I'd done my personal training qualification, but I like maybe a couple of clients, but not like a massive amount,
Okay.
So I started going to this gym, which was like literally up the road from me. It's now really like, it's not in the same place now, but like it is really close to where I am now. And the guy who I'm still friends with, which is awesome, Chris, he was, I guess, I don't even know like what the situation was, but he kind of, I guess, took me under his wing. I'm like kind of like his little sister. And he's like, oh, you know, you're here all the time, you're in the gym all the time. I was really overweight as well, by the way, because I'd been drinking like loads and eating like shit.
Right,
and I was just like really unhealthy. So I was like trying to lose weight and like whatever. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was like blagging it pretty much.
You were doing something, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then he was like, oh, you should become a personal trainer because you're here all the time, you might as well get paid for it. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. And I didn't really have any direction. I was just kind of like bumbling along, just you know, whatever. And so then I did my personal training qualification, which back then was not a 6-week course, it was a 1.5 years.
That's good.
Yeah, proper exams and weekends and studying and all sorts, and you actually had to learn stuff properly.
You say that like
people don't anymore.
Do you think that's true? Is that
yeah, 100%?
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, like personal right, let me
get it off your chest.
I'm gonna rant. Okay,
do it, you must do it.
Okay, excellent. So okay, here's the thing. Personal trainers these days, new personal trainers, and I'm not saying this is everyone, I'm just saying that this is a majority, and people that have a problem with me saying this are probably the people I'm talking about.
I love the way you said it. I'm not saying everyone, it's just the majority. That's amazing. I'm stealing.
It's 100% true. It's not everyone, not every single person, but a significant majority of newer personal trainers see personal trainers and go, I want to do that. Look, they've got loads of Instagram followers. Oh, look, they've got loads of women after them or men after them or whatever they want. Or, you know, oh, look, their body's so good. Or, oh, look, they do this. Oh, look, they've got sponsored by a protein company. Oh, yeah, they probably get a packet of protein in fucking months. That's it. Anyway, I digress. So they see that life and they go, oh, being a personal trainer is easy. You just have to basically show people how to do a workout and then count to 10 while they do it. All right, which in theory is true if you are a shit personal trainer. But I personally like to think that I'm better than that, and I actually put effort and time into my clients. So I do still have personal training clients, by the way. I still have quite a few.
Okay.
It's not my main business, it's not my main focus, but I do really enjoy the clients that I have. And they're really like good people, you know, and they actually want to train, which is always nice. But the thing is that most or a majority of personal trainers, and actually I think you said that when you were on my live, they think that they do everything.
Drives me insane.
And it's like, no, you're not qualified to do that, or you're not, like, you don't have any experience in that. You're just making it up as you go along. And you're now charging people for your time, and you're doing it's not something like, I've been a personal trainer for coming up to 12, this year will be 12 years.
Wow.
And you know, it just drives me insane.
Did you hear about this guy called V-Shred? Have you heard of this guy?
No.
He's like an internet guy, and
I try and spend as least time on the associated with these people as possible.
Yeah, he's a YouTuber, and apparently there's a bunch of marketing people, but sort of behind him, and you know, and he sort of like does the YouTube ads where there's the pizza and the lettuce, and it goes, and he's like, he's cut, he's super cut and he's shredded, and he goes, I'm going to be eating one of these tonight. Which one do you think it is? And he like throws the lettuce away, sort of arrogantly, like, well, it's not going to be that rabbit food, that kind of thing. But he got. I saw like it was like an expose, and it was like what he does. Like, have you heard of Athlean X? Is like a YouTuber. He is like, this guy must be at like 2% body fat. He's really good. You should check him out. He's really, really clearly highly trained on physiology, really knows his stuff.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah. No, he's really good.
Deal with those ones.
Yeah, and what this guy did was he basically ripped off all his videos and sort of like regurgitated them, and he had like this marketing machine behind him, and it was just like, oh man, you know, it's like
I do really like
six-pack abs in 3 sessions and all that kind of crap, you know?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so here's the thing, is that the guy, the second guy you mentioned, the one that's like highly trained and, you know, he clearly knows his shit. There are some of them around, and I have so much time for them, because the amount of things you need to know and knowledge you need to retain is like, that's not easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I genuinely have time for people like that, but it's the easy ride, easy money, or just show off my abs that I pretty much just have because I have good genetics. And then I pretty much just take a load of steroids and lift like once a week, and then do a video, put it out for my YouTube followers, my Instagram followers, and that's pretty much what I do with my life. And it's like, no, I have no time for you. Sorry, but no.
Do you think that a lot of, I can't think of how I phrase that group of people that you're trying to describe, other than sort of like, well, there is that, but like the Instagram sort of PT mob, that kind of like, and not and again, some broad
Insta
sweeping,
PTs,
Insta PTs. Do you think a lot of them are on the gear? Do you think a lot of them are on steroids?
100%. Yeah,
Because a lot of them had like just got 5% body, just mad
I mean,
shreds.
what I would propose to do would be, if you want to be an Insta PT, must take a steroid test every month to prove that you're clean, like athletes do. So get USADA involved. Fuck it. I mean, why not? Get all of that, because okay, so I have people coming to me that are like, I want to look like this, and they'll show me a PT on Instagram, an Insta PT usually. I want to look like this. I'm like, right, can you, okay, I appreciate that you want to look like this, but can you just take a second to look at the breakdown of their body and look at how much of that is natural and how much of that is, well, how much of it's genetics, because some of it will be, and how much of that is steroid abuse.
I don't think regular people probably can't tell. I think a lot
That's the thing.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. So a really good example of this, and where my, it's not a theory, but where I say that and it kind of doesn't fall apart, but it's like you have to make exceptions. So the fighter Tisha Torres?
Yeah.
She is very genetically gifted. She's always been clean. Like USADA, she's been always clean. Genetically, she is very gifted. She looks like she could be on the roids, but I don't know. I've met her once, like years ago, but I don't think she is. I would stand by myself. I'd put money on it that she's not. She's always clean in USADA. She's fine. She is very genetically gifted. And that is, and the sort of thing, like, yes, she works hard. Of course she works. I'm not at all taking away from that, because she clearly works hard. But she's so genetically gifted that people want to look like her, and they don't realize that part of it, okay, yes, of course, hard work, but part of it is genetics as well. And I think that's a lot of the things, is that there's three sides. So it's what you do, as in training and nutrition, what your genetics are like, and then what supplements you're on, and I'm including steroids in that.
Yeah, I remember when I was sort of Thai boxing, I probably would have been early 20s, probably so that would have been what, 1991, 1992. There was a guy
back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day at Minotaurs, and there, man, there's a guy there, and I'm not going to give his name, because if he does listen to this, he will definitely know that I'm talking about him. But but great fighter, amazing fighter. Loved to smoke weed. Definitely not on the gear. The guy could probably bang out about 20 crunches, but he was shredded and sculpted and carved, and his genetics must have been amazing. It's just like, I remember I definitely didn't have that, and so I was like, I could like do like hundreds of crunches, hundreds of this, that, this, that, and the other, and I was just like, I've got like mono ab, like what it's just.
But also remember that the composition of your abs, for example, the composition of the core isn't just the outside.
Yeah, it's the wall, isn't there? The
core is just one part.
Yeah.
And there's actually a conversation I've had with a couple of people, especially recently. Oh, I want abs so much. I'm like, look, abs don't give you a strong core. What's underneath gives you the strong core. I don't I don't have visible abs. 100%, I do not have visible abs, but I have a strong core because I train the inside, not the outside. With most, like, you know, YouTube or Instagram PTs, they're training the outside, not the inside. But it's another thing, like training your brain and your body. If you're training your brain and your body, you're working from the inside out. If you're just training your body, you're working on the outside. But what about the inside? You're still fucked up. Okay? Like, for whatever reason, like, we're all slightly fucked up, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like, I'd like to think everyone's a little bit fucked up. Otherwise, how did you make it not fucked up? Tell me your secrets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that's your beef with the Insta PTs, you know.
I just honestly, like, if they could prove, like, if an Insta PT could prove their knowledge to me, I would have respect for them. But unfortunately, I just don't think that they can.
Well, you know, there's no way they'd do that. You're not the client market, and you know, there's loads of people that they can, you know, wow with their abs, I guess, you know.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. And if that's what you're into, then great. It's not my bag, you know. I'd rather be strong and look like shit than look amazing and be weak as fuck.
That wouldn't work out well, would it?
Yeah, right. Who wants to be weak?
Well, no one. So you kind of transitioned away from the horses, and you kind of got into the martial arts, like so your friends got you into being a PT. And
and then I had the bad relationship, and then I got into martial arts as a result of that. So when I was 24, I started everything at the same time. But I moved to Sheffield. So
wow, man.
Yeah, I know, I moved a lot. I moved to Sheffield, and my first day in Sheffield, I was like, where's the gym? I need to learn this shit because I don't want this again. Okay? And so I started on the 1st of June when I was 24.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess that will be 10 years in June.
And so was that jiu-jitsu and striking or?
Yeah, so they did like Sheffield Martial Arts Academy, SMAC.
Okay.
The guy's Mark, I cannot for the life of me think of his surname. Mark Hayes.
Okay.
Anyway, so it was a really small gym, really small. Like I used to just go there after work. I got a job as a receptionist. So for me, working in an office, like my first time in an office, it was a new experience.
Yeah.
So here as a receptionist, and then I got poached to upstairs, to one of the companies upstairs, which was cool. But I used the gym was like kind of down the road and across a bit from work. So I just used to straight away after work, just be there for the whole evening. It's kind of like one of those places where it's like, okay, you can pay per class or you can pay per month.
Yeah.
Wait, well, what do I get per month? You get all the classes. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and you want to get your money's worth, right?
3 hours a night, an hour of jiu-jitsu, an hour of striking, an hour of stick work.
Wow. Wow, really cool.
Yeah. So I just did that. So every night, Monday to Friday, crack on.
Yeah.
Started meeting people, you know, humans, sometimes. So that was pretty much where I started. And then I also went to, after that, in Sheffield, it was more sort of just jiu-jitsu with it was EKBJJ. It's now begins with an F. Can't think of it. Mark Bottom, anyway. Monkey. I can't. Fortitude, something like that.
Right.
Something I can't. Sorry, he's gonna kill me for not remembering. But yeah, anyway, it was EKBJJ when I went there, and that's where it got me up. So that was in Sheffield. So, but those, I mean, with Mark, but yeah, they're really good guys anyway. So me off, and then I moved to Thailand after that.
Oh right, and so were you doing striking out in Thailand or?
Yeah, striking MMA. So I was at Tiger first.
Oh wow.
Which was drama central.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wasn't a fan. Brian and Roger did not like me. So Brian, Ebersol, Roger Huerta. Yeah, they did not like me.
Oh right.
Fairly sure they're not going to be listening to this podcast. So
Go for your life.
But yeah, no, they're. I mean, it's just drama, isn't it? Like,
Well, you clash with some people, and some people you.
Well, I did get on with them. I got on with Roger really well, and like it was really cool. And I think the dynamic changed a lot when Brian came along, because I think they're both kind of top dogs, and so there can only be one a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but this is years ago anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so Brian told me I will never win a fight. So if you want to fight, you can't fight for Tiger. So I was like, all right. Because I said I wanted to fight.
Okay.
Obviously, it wasn't just didn't just randomly come out in conversation.
Yeah.
I wanted to fight. And he was like, well, look.
Yeah.
Here. And I was like, well, that's shit. So
it's quite brutal, isn't it?
On the same road, at the other end of the road. I went to Top Team and I was like, and I spoke to Boyd, who runs Top Team, and I said, I want to fight. And he's like, oh, we've been looking for a woman. Do you want to be sponsored? And I was like, yes. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was there. So I had obviously jiu-jitsu with Lavo, who's still there, an absolute fucking legend. I love that guy just so much, just such a legend. So yeah, and then I guess, well, back then Anthony and Andrew Leone were there. Donnie was there. So these are all guys that now run Bali MMA, which is very very, very popular for MMA tourists, I would say. Sure. So they were there. I don't think who else was there now. And then obviously the Thai guys running the Muay Thai. So I kind of I would be in the MMA side. So there's two sides of the gym. So I'd be in the MMA side, jiu-jitsu, MMA side all the time. And then if I couldn't get a fight, but I wanted to fight, I'd go skip over to Muay Thai. You have to fight. But at Top Team, you had to train for 2 weeks if you wanted to fight in Muay Thai. So I'd train for 2 weeks, fight, and then go back to MMA, back to grappling. And I'm bored now, I need to fight. Right, go back over to Muay Thai, train for 2 weeks, fight, right, back over to MMA. And I just used to flip.
That's amazing though.
To MMA, 2 weeks of Muay Thai, month of MMA, 2 weeks of Muay Thai. And that was because you couldn't do both because they're at the same time, they cross over. So
that's brilliant.
There's only so many hours in a day. And also I was a teacher as well. So I was working in school as well. So it's that was 8 a.m. till 4 p.m.
Okay. Really
only so much you can do outside of that time. Sure. Some plans and all that stuff. So, it's just, there really is only so much you can do. But yeah, so I did that.
So at what point did Tough happen then? And just explain a little bit about what that is for people that might not know, because I mean everyone's heard of UFC, but maybe some people haven't. Maybe some people, aren't really sure about how did that occur, and what is it and how did it occur?
What it is, I really like my mum's explanation of it, which is Big Brother for fighters.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty
accurate, right?
100%.
So yeah, so I really like that. So basically, the first time I went, I did the audition for Tough 20, which was the first one to include females, first one to include 115ers, which was my weight category. So I went over, I did the audition, but I'd only had 2 MMA fights and maybe a handful of Muay Thai fights, maybe 1 or 2, but I hadn't really done anything. And they were like, look, we really like you, but you just don't have enough experience for this. So come back next time, kind of whatever. Okay. So I was like, oh, I got to the final 20 or whatever people, but then they were like, look, you just don't have enough experience. I was like, all right, cool, fine. Right. What can I do? And they were like, go and get more experience, go and fight as much as you possibly can. Just go and fight. get as much experience as you can. Right. Okay, cool. So fast forward 2 years, 3 years, I don't even know, whatever it was. I think it was only about 2 years. The auditions for Tough 23 came up, and I was back in England, I think, at this point. Yeah, I was in England. So I was in Thailand for the first one. I went Phuket to Vegas, which is, don't ever recommend that flight, by the way. It's
Really?
atrocious. Also because I had to do a GoFundMe to get there because I was a lowly Thai teacher. So I wasn't really earning any money.
Yeah.
So I had to do a GoFundMe to get there. So I obviously didn't want to spend, I didn't have the money to spend on a decent flight. So I ended up having like a million layovers like this.
Oh my God.
Across the world. So, that obviously did not help matters with that, but it was fine. It's all good. So then I go back to England, the Tough 23 auditions come up. I had the first day, I had like 20 people send me the link for it. And I was like, oh my God, okay. And I was kind of at the point where I was like, oh man, it's so difficult. I can't get fights. No one wants to fight me, or,
Because you actually at that point had a lot of
I had some fights, but I wasn't that good. So it was like people would either want to fight a 1-0 or an 0-1 person, or someone's had one fight because they wanted to boost their career, or they wanted to fight a big name. But I didn't really have either.
Okay, gotcha.
Kind of in this weird middle ground where I just was really struggling to get fights. And I was training at Andy's at this point, and he had this wrestling coach called Saba, who is fucking amazing. I literally love that guy so much. He was such a good coach, and he coached me for all over Christmas, Boxing Day, Christmas morning, coach, literally just he pushed me so hard, but I learned so much from him.
Right.
And he was the person that got me to the point where I won the fight to get in the house. So
amazing.
I literally have everything. I owe everything to him about getting in the house, because 100%, because it was him that really pushed me. And he was always there, just never let me down, just always there, always supportive, always just 100% in, always have my back every time. Just so much time for him. And that's the sort of person that there aren't enough of those people.
There really aren't.
Lucky to have, and he that, just, yeah, I have so much time for him. So I guess I did the audition. Then I came back to England. Oh yeah, so I did the audition. It was November or something, or December. It was December. And they're like, right, if you're in the final 20, I got into the final 20 again. And that was the other thing, is they remembered me from the before.
Oh, so decent.
Room, and they were like, oh, you came back. And I was like, remember me? And they were like, yeah, of course we do. I was like, oh my God, you remember me. This is so cool. I was really happy about that. And they're like, oh, what have you done since and I was like, oh, I've had 10 fights in MMA and Muay Thai, I think I'd had 8 or 10 fights. I can't remember. And they were like, okay, so you've done what we told you to do, basically. So then they were like, so final 20, right? The final 20, out of all 20 of you, 16 are going to get a call on this day. 16 of you are going to get a call, and if you get a call, you have to get on a flight the day after, or the call was on the Saturday and the flight was on the Monday. Right. Prepare that you're fighting, so go through your fight camp, and if we call you, you're fighting. If we don't call you, you're not fighting. Right, okay, cool. So I'm in fight camp now. Okay, so it's all over Christmas, can't have any chocolate. I don't care. I'm doing this. This is the best thing in the world. I'm training. Yeah, as I said, Christmas morning, I had my friend come and spar with me on Christmas morning. you know, everything. I was so like, this is happening. And I remember my dad saying to me, actually, he was like, because he was really not into fighting, like he was anti-fighting, anti-me fighting, anti-everything. But he kind of knew that it meant a lot to me. And he said to me, because I was like, you know, I was really worried. Oh, like, what if they don't call? And he said, look, work out the time difference. It's like, right, okay, cool. He's like, decisions never get made before midday. I was like, right, okay. He's like, and I tell you what, their time, midday, bang on, they called me.
Wow.
Bang on, literally. And I was like, how did he know?
That's good advice. That's good advice.
And yeah, they called me and they're like, yep, so are you ready to come to Vegas? And I was like, yes, I am, yes.
Amazing.
So yeah, so then, yep, flew to Vegas, won the fight, first round armbar, bam, 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 get in the house, done.
How was the house? What was that like?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, apart from I got a concussion, which kind of sucked, but apart from that, I loved it.
Was it really kind of how it sort of portrayed, you know, that kind of tension and
God, no, it was so chilled. I think because ours was the first co-ed season.
Okay.
So like always before, like with the girls seasons, it was always quite catty just because it was like a group of girls in together. We had boys in there. They're so chilled. They were such nice people. And to be honest with you, the girls were really nice as well.
Right.
Like, there wasn't really anyone I didn't like. No one really got on with Kate, but apart from that, everyone got on. I mean, she just didn't really help herself. But I mean, I've got nothing against her. She just didn't help herself. But yeah, apart from that, everyone just really got on. Yeah, literally no problem with anyone throughout the whole time. It's just genuinely nice people.
So what happened in there then with regards to the fights then? How did that play out?
So basically they pick teams. You can see on the videos of it. And then they're like, so I got bronchitis. That was the other thing. I got bronchitis like literally in the first week. So I was really sick. And I was really struggling, you know, obviously with bronchitis, you have like, you know, just normal breathing is really bad. But I was like trying to do some sort of training just so I could keep ticking over because I knew that I was going to have to fight. I wanted to fight so badly. And they're like, okay, are you ready to fight? Like, are you better now? And I'm like, yes. I was not, but I was like,
bullshit. Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, fight. So fought against Lanch. I mean, she's amazing. Lanch is amazing, but I definitely should have won that fight, like 100%. I mean, I've got so much respect for her, so it's not like, you know, I'm not angry at her, as in like, I know, like watching the fight back, I know I won, but her hand raised. But I love her, so I'm happy for her, if that makes sense. She's amazing. And
so you're treating it like an athlete rather than a, you know, something.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still sad I lost. I'm not like,
yeah, sure.
You know, it sucks, man. You put yourself through that whole thing. It doesn't matter how much respect you have for your opponent. It fucking sucks, man.
Yeah.
But it makes it a lot easier when the other person's so nice.
Right. Gotcha.
You know, so it's like, yes, I'm pissed off for myself, but I'm super happy for her because she's such a nice person and I feel like she deserves it. So, like, if she was a dick, it would be like, oh, that fucking bitch, you know, but she's not. She's like probably one of the nicest fighters I've ever met.
Okay.
She's so genuine. She's so sweet. She's so just a good person. She trains fucking hard as well. So it's like, she deserves it. Like, fair play. You know, I'm pissed off for me, but I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's fine. Wasn't meant to be. That's it. So, just cracked on. I mean, she gave me concussion. She fucking hits hard, man.
Really? Yeah.
By the way, she didn't knock me out, but did give me concussion.
Wow.
That's the time I've ever had concussion from not being knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't open my eyes for like 3 days.
So what year was this then? What year was the toughest?
2016. So beginning 2016 started in January till March.
Right.
Filming.
Yeah. Yeah. What an experience, eh?
Yeah. Pretty much highlight of my career, not gonna lie.
And so since you've been
forever.
Yeah, well it's an amazing thing, isn't it? I mean, you get
you can't. Yeah, I mean, no matter what shit you go through after that, you can't really take that away from someone, can you?
No, absolutely.
I think that's the other thing with experience as well. Is like you can't, no matter what shit you go through, you can't take away experience.
Absolutely.
So you can take away possession, but you can never take away experience.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So like then you're back and you're, you know, what are you doing? Are you like fighting pro,
Yeah. So I guess
MMA and
yeah, I don't really know what happened after that. I think I moved to London quite soon after that. Got quite a lot of shit from a couple of the guys at Andy's, and he phoned up Jude and was like, hey, can Helen train with you now? And he was like, yeah, sure, bring her up.
okay, right.
So went up to, I was training a couple of times a week with Jude, then realised that it was where I needed to be, kind of thing. So I moved to London. Did not like London, do not like London, still do not like London, have never liked London. However, it was right, the gym was right down the road from my dad's. And he was quite sick at that point. So it was like, well, I can sort of kill two birds with one stone here. And I can be there a bit more for my dad and I can train. And then subsequently got a job at that gym as well. Well, self-employed, but work.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked. Certainly I was happy to be there for my dad more, because obviously I'd been to Thailand and I've been to the Tough House, and that had obviously taken me away from seeing him, and he had got quite dramatically worse in that time. So I think the fact that I could then be there around for him was obviously a big deal for him.
I bet, yeah.
I mean, he would never tell me that, but
no, sure,
assuming that he appreciated it at some point.
Yeah.
That's a funny.
So when you're actually going into the cage, tell me about your mental process when you're doing that.
I definitely have to be as relaxed as possible. That's really important to me.
So it doesn't work if you're hyped up. And...
No, have to be able to breathe.
Okay.
I think.
What goes through your head?
It definitely depends on the fight.
Okay.
But there's quite a lot of self-belief that kind of comes out of nowhere almost. I don't particularly believe in myself on a day-to-day basis. I just kind of blag it, you know. I'm not like one of those people that's like, yeah, I can do this, I'm amazing. It's like, yeah, I'll probably be all right.
Yeah, okay. Sort of like a quiet.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. I'm always all right. I always just kind of like make it happen, make it work. But I'm not like I'm always okay, but I don't have a massive amount of self-belief, as in like I don't ever think I'm going to do something great. Does that make sense? Like,
well, I think that yeah.
But yeah, there's no like, I'm not one of those people that can be like, yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to be amazing. I'm going to be the best. I'm just like, yeah, let's try not to get knocked out.
Yeah. So how does that change then when you said that you go in and you've got this, you feel like this flow of self-belief kind of come from? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, that's my alter ego. That's Hellraiser.
Okay. So
she hangs out with me for
okay. So if you were going to talk about her for a bit, like could you describe her?
She is a lot more fierce than I am. She's quicker, like stronger, better technique. Like she's basically like a way better version of me
at fighting.
Yeah, I mean at everything. She's just good at everything. She's kind of like, she's not like blagging it. She's just genuinely good.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I just blag it. Helen blags everything. Hellraiser's actually good. But if Hellraiser doesn't join me in the fight, I lose. That's what happens. The only times I've lost is when Hellraiser does not join me.
Oh, right.
That's the problem. So I have to like channel it. And that's where I go wrong, is when I can't like channel it. I can't get, like my last fight, I just didn't get going.
Right.
And Hellraiser never came. She didn't never turned up. And then I lost and I got knocked out.
How do you know she's going to show?
I don't. That's a fucking problem. If it was a given, I'd be all right.
All right.
Yeah.
And how can you tell when she's there?
You just know. It's just,
What does that mean? That's too vague.
well, like, I just know. Like,
What was it, a feeling, or you
yeah,
talk to yourself in a
like,
certain way, or?
yeah. Like, it's, I don't know, it's like an overall body calm and like
Okay.
cool, calm, collected. I know what I'm doing, reassurance, strength. Like, I feel together, you know, I feel like a complete human instead of like blagging it, which is how I normally feel, kind of
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's no like official line to that, right?
Yeah, no, of course not. No. Well,
That's pretty much the best I can explain it.
yeah, no, because I mean, obviously, when I've worked with a lot of fighters and combat athletes and stuff like that, and so I'm very much pro the idea of having like an alter ego, having, giving yourself, having an entity that you almost like giving yourself permission to, to be a savage, to be, violent, to be, that kind of person, or technical, or whatever it is. I think, probably this, high level sports people will kind of get that, but I think it's probably quite an alien thing for, competitive people, I guess, isn't it? This idea,
I mean,
they'll be
some
like,
people
oh, that's a bit weird, that's like, oh, you got a bit of a
well,
split
some people
personality.
have like high powered corporate people often have like an alter ego if they go into a meeting or something. Big meeting with like 50 people around the board. They can't just be themselves. They have to put on their business head, so to speak.
Right.
Same as that, but instead of my business head, I'm punching people in the face. But it's the same thing.
Yeah. No, I that's a really good way of putting it. And I mean, I was speaking to someone today, and we were talking about personality, and and I said to this person, like, do you know any babies? She was like, yeah, that's a weird question. Like now think about how you are with a baby. It's like, okay, yeah, it's go goo goo and all that kind of coochie coo kind of stuff. And then go, right, now think about when you're speaking to one of your, the professor at Oxford, about some high level academic shit. And just like, right, yeah, well, I'd be like that. And it's like, well, they're
Two
all
different
you.
heads.
Sorry.
Yeah. There's two different heads.
Yeah, the two different heads. And the sort of the analogy I have for it is it's almost like a disco ball, right? So you disco ball, loads of little mirrors, and it's like, well, if you got the baby, you rotate to the little part which is baby, and you'll communicate. You're still being you, but you're doing baby, right? And then you'll rotate it again, and then you'll get it to, but it's let's say if it's a parent, then you'll be communicating the way that you do when you're with a parent, and whether it's like close friends, whether it's training partners, they're all different and they're all authentic. But so everyone does it. But I think having this massive sort of delineation that you go, well, that's my alter ego. To some people they'll be like, oh my god, the devil is in you, child. But actually they probably do it anyway themselves, kind of thing.
Definitely.
So it's interesting that and it's, for me, it's super refreshing to hear somebody that has got such a clear grasp on, yeah, it's a thing, and yeah, it's okay, as opposed to this, kind of like not really being aware of it, or or thinking, oh, you know what, that it's some sort of bad thing. So like, where do you see yourself going with like, are you still fighting pro? Is that like, because obviously everything's changed, like the whole landscape's changed and stuff. Like, are you still planning to sort of get fights and fight pro MMA, or like, are you just going to concentrate on the jiu-jitsu, or what are you up to?
Great question. Not sure of the answer at this point. I had a chat with Dave, my coach, my current coach. Been with him for a couple of years.
Dave Lee,
yeah,
absolutely great guy, fantastic guy.
Love him. I just honestly, just listening to him just makes me feel relaxed.
Yeah, he
just
is
like just listening to his voice. It's just like, oh, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
that's all I need. I just need to hear Dave's voice.
Very
I think
cool
you should
character.
do like meditation or something. Like I would listen to that all day. Just
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay. Dave's talking to me. But so I had a chat with Dave yesterday, and we just I said, like, what do you reckon? Like, you know, I'm kind of at I think we all are. We're all at a little bit of a turning point, and you know, where everything's a little bit different, yet nothing's really changed.
Yeah.
So looking at it from a kind of practical level, I'm almost 34. I have obviously, as we all have, just had a year off. I wasn't unfortunately privy to any of the secret training that happened. I did none of that. So I trained. So I've had a year off, and it's any time it's not good after a year off to go, I'm going to fight.
Yeah, sure. That's what you did.
Well, you're remembering all the good stuff.
Yeah.
You're forgetting about the weight cut, the fight camp, the hours and hours that you're spending away from your business, from, whatever. You're forgetting away from, you have no social life, you have no friends and family, all of this stuff. And it's like, well, you make the decision. So he said, look, don't make a decision now. See what happens. When we get back to normal, which we will at some point, we get back to normal. If a fight comes up, take it if you want it. If you don't want it, don't take it. Fighting's not the sort of thing you can do half-heartedly.
For sure.
The sort of thing you either want to do it and you're going to do it and you're doing it. And that's how we've always been. I've always been like, give me the fight, give me the fight, give me the fight. I've said yes to so many stupid fights. And I've had coaches before being like, Helen, can you stop saying yes to everything? Like, for fuck's sake. And I'm like, sorry, I just really want to fight. They're like, this is not an appropriate fight for you. What are you doing? And I'm like, I just wanted to fight. and then they'll have to go around and go, no, she says no. She does not say yes. She says no. But I got to a point where I was like, look, stop asking me if I'm going to fight, or stop asking me, like, to promoters. I would say, look, can you stop asking me? Because I keep saying yes to stuff. And then my coaches are the ones that have to sort it out. So just ask them.
What kind of inappropriate fights did you have?
Oh no, this is like most of them I managed to get. Well, coaches sort of said no. Like,
dodge out of,
yeah. What the fuck are you doing, Helen? This is completely different. Like, you're taking a fight at 145. You're a 115er. You fucking idiot. Like, what's wrong? I just wanted to fight. You're gonna get beaten up.
Yeah.
No, but I wanted to fight. But okay, yeah. Luckily, I've had people looking after me and being like, look, Helen, this is fucking stupid. What are you doing with your life? And I'm like, I don't know. I thought you knew.
Yeah. That's none of my business.
What the fuck I'm doing. So he's like, look, don't make any decisions now. So I'm not yay or nay. I'm just, let's see what happens, and just see where life takes us. I'm certainly not opposed to fighting again.
Sure.
Also realistic in the fact that I am older.
Yeah.
And, there are less fights out there for an older fighter.
Okay.
There's a lot of good people coming up through the ranks, which are, rightly getting the opportunities. So the sort of fights I would be getting, so that you've got two sides of it. You've got your young fighters coming up. All right. And you've got your older fighters that are super, super, super experienced. And I'm not really either of them. I'm older, but I'm not that experienced, like, in comparison. All right. So, and it's like, I don't want to go down. I don't want to, to me, I'm like, I've already fought for Bellator.
Yeah. Wow.
The Ultimate Fighter. I don't want to now go and fight in a sports hall. I'd rather not.
Yeah.
All right. So unless I get in Brave, Brave was great. Brave was really good. I really enjoyed Brave. It's not amazing money, but I'm not doing it for the money. Let's be real. I think if you're fighting for money, you're in the wrong job, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I guess.
However, Brave, Bellator, or UFC, obviously that's not going to happen. But like, I'm just saying, those are the three. If I had an opportunity, if there was a pull-out at the last minute and it was a thing of like, look, we need a fighter in 2 weeks' time, yeah, of course I'm going to take it.
Sure.
I'm taking that fight.
Yeah.
However, I'm not chasing it anymore.
Okay.
That makes it. Whereas I used to be chasing. Now I'm like, look, if it happens, fuck yeah, let's do it. Why not? You know, but I could take it or leave it at this point. In terms of chasing it, I've got a lot of other good things going on, whereas I've never had that before. I've always.
Well, that sounds like a nice place to be in, actually.
It's great. It's great. I think fighting's always been like the good thing, and there's not been that much else. Whereas now it's like, well, my business is actually doing really well now compared to, you know, where it's taken 2 years to get to this point, but it's actually, I'm starting to be a bit respected, and people are listening, and people are actually recommending me. I'm getting random messages from people going, oh, I was talking about you with so and so, and they recommended you. They recommended me. Wow, like that's incredible. You know, like someone's out there recommending me. What? That's insane. Like me. Like what? That's amazing. So like to me, that's like better than anything, really, you know? Like that's incredible.
Do you take notice of that? Do you kind of let that sink in, you know, that like that external validation, like you know, does it reach a point where this is happening, you know, loads of people are sort of talking about it, I don't even know, and they're saying that I'm good. Like at what point do you go, yeah, I must be, I am, you know? What do you struggle to sort of claim that, or are you, because you know, you said that you were sort of blagging it, and I'm like, you're not blagging it, like you're super experienced, you're a smart person, and you know how to communicate, you know, you've got those pillars, you know, so it sort of sounds like, you know, you're almost like doing yourself like down a little bit, but you know, for all these people are talking about you, you know, like, at what point does that reach momentum where you're like, okay, I'm pretty good, you know, that kind of thing, without being, you know, being a dick about it.
Yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't happened yet. I'll let you know if it ever happens. I really appreciate when people like, so a recommendation and a compliment, I feel like that's quite on the same level. So
yeah,
someone gives me a compliment or someone says they've been recommended, but I mean, that's a compliment in itself, you know?
amazing. Yeah.
So it's obviously amazing to receive it. I'm still not 100% okay with taking it. So,
Okay.
for example, like this afternoon, sorry, I was in a meeting and someone complimented me, and they said, that was quite funny actually. Oh, you're so much better looking than anyone else that does the same thing. And I laughed. Like they were I can't remember exactly the words, but basically that's what.
You don't look punchy.
And I said, well, so she was talking about coaching self-defense. And I was like, but the thing is that most people that teach self-defense are like 50-year-old men.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel like that's much of a 30-year-old woman or a 50-year-old man. Like, who's going to look better, really?
Yeah.
Like,
of course,
you know,
I'm 50, but you know.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you don't teach self-defense, so
no, that's right.
So it was. I kind of made a joke of, you know, like, oh, you know, like I appreciate the compliment, but
yeah,
you know, But then one of the other ladies in the room was like, well, virtual room, was like, oh, you know, you should just take that as a compliment. And I was like, well, I know she meant it as a compliment, but you know, I'm still there where I'm picking holes in compliments, you know. I'm still like, but it wasn't a real compliment, was it? It was a joke, right? You know. So I kind of think it's nice to hear, and I certainly appreciate it. You know, if someone gives me a compliment, I certainly appreciate it. I don't necessarily believe it.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, I probably look better than most 50-year-old men that teach self-defense.
Listen, can we back off the whole like picking on 50-year-old men? I know. But 50-year-old men, you know, we've got hearts too, you know. No, I'm joking.
I
But yeah, no,
agree.
I
You see what I'm
totally,
saying?
get it. Yeah,
I potentially, I believe what she's saying,
yeah.
but I don't, I just don't, I think maybe there's like a mental block or something of,
Okay, so what if she said like, I've done some self-defense courses, and the way that you teach is just the best. You know, something like that. Would you accept that? Which isn't
yeah,
about
actually
your.
someone else said that to me as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Also. So I really do take pride in the way I teach, and I
Sure.
really love teaching.
Hmm.
And I believe that I'm a good teacher.
Okay. Cool.
I do believe that I'm a good teacher.
Hmm.
I'm not the best in the world, but I don't know who is. But like I think I love it so much that, and I enjoy it so much that I think that's why people enjoy my coaching.
People pick up on the passion, don't they?
Yeah, but rather
And the
than
energy.
the best coach in the world, which I'm not, because who is? But I think it's more that because I'm so passionate, that makes their experience of being coached more
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's I guess like I like rationalizing compliments, which kind of sounds weird when I say it, but yeah, I think that's what I do. Is if I can't rationalize a compliment, I'm like, well, it's not real then, is it?
Well, I think what you're doing is you're separating the bullshit from the facts, and I think that's something that is a good strategy to keep you grounded, but obviously being able to take the useful stuff. So you're not walking around with your head, up in the clouds, thinking that you're like the best in the world, but you're like going, well, okay, right, well, I'm going to take this for what it is, and disregard any of the fluff kind of thing. So I think that's a good strategy.
That I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. So that sounds like you've got a really good plan for your own kind of like progress, that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself, that you're going to let things play out. And do you think that it'll affect like the intensity that you train, or do you think you'll still manage to be like going in and hitting it hard?
That's a really good question, because I love pushing myself, and that's such a question I've asked myself a couple of times, like, oh man, I love competing so much. I love testing myself so much. I love like winning. I love it so much. I have such passion for it, and I push myself so hard. But I think in the past, I've pushed myself too hard in maybe too many directions and not had a real focus point.
Right.
And I think that's been a big problem for me. I'm quite like, I have to be like, I think for me, my kind of my downfall is trying to be the best at everything I do, and not accepting that some things you're good at and some things you're not.
Right.
But I kind of get really obsessed with things. And I think for me, definitely, and I cannot be the only person that has this problem. I imagine there's plenty of other people that can relate, is kind of becoming so tunnel visioned into a result, and then not really enjoying the process. Because for example, you focus so hard on a particular competition or a fight or whatever, and I cannot wait to compete again. I really can't. I just want to sign up to every single competition going. Like, honestly, like, I just put me on the map now. I would be so happy. But I kind of want to do it differently this time, where I really enjoy the process rather than the competition, because I have spent the last 10 years. I mean, my first competition, I'd been training like a month or like 2 months or something. My first fight, I'd been training, like literally a few months for May fight. Like, what a fucking dick. Who let me do that? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But like, I wanted to do it, so I did it. But what I'm saying is, like, since I started any martial arts, I've been competing from the word go.
Right.
There's never been a time where I've just trained.
Okay.
competing. When's the next competition? I'm either competing or I'm rehabbing.
Right.
Injuries.
Sure.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Make that clear.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm always injured, but I'm always competing, and I'm usually competing on several injuries.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm generally either doing one or the other or both. Like that's been the last 10 years, has been being injured, rehabbing, competing, cycled for 10 years.
So what will it be like to actually enjoy the process this time? You know, or this time,
Fuck knows. Hopefully it'll be quite enjoyable. That's my plan. If I don't enjoy it, I'll just have to get injured again, won't I?
Yeah, good plan. That's the B strategy.
A little comfort cycle of injury.
Yeah.
No, but also, you know, I think I think enjoying just trying to be more present. I know it's kind of like a hippie-ish, but like kind of trying to be there, trying to enjoy training for what it is, rather than just when's the next session, what am I doing next, you know, like trying to go, right, okay, when I'm in this session, it's going to be 2 hours long or whatever. Okay? It's going to be 2 hours long. In this 2-hour session, I'm not going to think about anything else. I'm not going to think about work later. I'm not going to think about this and that, whatever. I'm just going to think about training, and that's it. That's all I'm going to think about. And I think that in itself is going to help my like mental state of training a lot better.
Sure.
Let's see what happens. I mean, you can wish these things, can't you? But there's only so much control you have over your crazy.
Well, yeah. You can only control crazy so much, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, we just have to see how things work out. And
ask me again in like 6 months.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, I'm not talking to her.
You'll be like, yeah,
She's
no,
feral.
she's gone too far the other way.
Yeah, she's eating out the bins in a gi. You know, like, don't say no gi to me. Yeah. So, why? So it's obviously it's Women's Day the other day.
Yeah.
That's really good and all that good stuff. And why should women do martial arts?
Well, everyone should.
Okay. Why?
Firstly, for different reasons. So I think doing martial arts itself is quite personal.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have different reasons, and certainly I know my clients, if I said to them, even the ones I teach self-defense to, they don't really feel like they're doing martial arts.
Okay.
They're learning some stuff about self-defense. It's not like, even though I'm teaching them jiu-jitsu and like a bit of wrestling, bit of Muay Thai, they're not doing martial arts in their heads.
Yeah.
And I think everyone should learn an aspect. Everyone should learn how to take care of themselves. And a little bit of discipline. Discipline is really important. But not everyone wants to learn in sort of the state that we learn. You know, that everyone wants that intensity. And like the people I've got at the moment, because they're in their bubble, so mostly family, so siblings, parents, kids, parents, their kids, which is lovely.
Yeah.
And it's bonding. So that is so I think you know that respect you have for someone, that when you get tapped out and then you tap them out and then they tap you out and then you tap them out and you just form this respect. Yeah,
it's a deep bond, actually, isn't it?
It is, and it's something that you can't really rationalize or explain. It's just like
it's why experiential
so much. Because they choked me out and tried to break my arm. Wait,
and then I armbarred them and kneeled on their
and then
face.
It's like, but people outside of fighting, just they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, like that does not make any sense. But it's like, oh yeah, they choked me out so many times that I respect them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. What? But if you say that to a normal person, they think you're mental. But I think just learning, I think what it is learning to be able to take care of yourself, but also learning what damage a person can do.
Yeah.
So, for example, I've got these two girls that are sort of like, one's a teenager and one's in her early 20s. They're absolutely amazing. I love them. They are brilliant. two of my clients, and they obviously came to me for self-defense, and months ago now, they said they were going to do 3 months, and they've been with me for about 7 or 8 now. They're amazing. And they started off really, really nice, like, just, all right, okay, I've got to teach you how to attack, because if you know how to attack, you know how to defend. All right, so I just started, jab cross, nice and chilled, just like slipping, working out the movement, like how far do I need to be, like looking at ranges, looking at, just real basics, oh, you know what, if she did that, then I could do that. Oh, and if she did that, and hold on, and then if she, and they could see the cogs start turning, and this is in the first week,
wow, okay,
and they're starting, and they're very perceptive. That these two girls, they're very perceptive, and I'm not saying everyone will be this good, but they are shining stars, shining examples. But right from the beginning, they're starting to pick up, like, oh, well, if she does that, then can I do that? Why not?
They're starting to extrapolate the information and stuff.
Or equally, if she does that, can I do that? Try it and find out what happens. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't do that. It's like, her arm's there now. Right, okay, cool. Right, okay. Yeah. And it's, okay, great. So now it's like, if someone's in your personal space, if they're within a meter of you, what can they do? If they're within 2 meters of you, what can they do? That kind of knowledge to any person in the whole world is useful. Everyone should know this. This should be school. Honestly. Have a lot less work, but I don't mind. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Teach the kids. I'm fine with it.
Well, there was the I think in England in like the 50s, I think boxing was like
big,
you teach. I'm guessing it wasn't available for girls because obviously it's quite a sort of sexist kind of society back then.
I'd have cut my hair off and strapped my tits down.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, and I think, did someone tell me that in Abu Dhabi, I think, isn't it? It's taught at schools, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Even to be honest, I was in Israel 2 years ago.
Right.
And their jiu-jitsu program sponsored by the government, and it is absolutely phenomenal. The guys, oh my God, the guys in Israel are insanely good.
Really? Yeah, I've heard good things about this.
Oh my God, they're amazing.
Right.
Like, seriously, like, wasn't expecting it at all. It's like, it's quite a small country.
Yeah.
Is it not that should mean anything, but you kind of like, it wasn't, I don't think they'd really put themselves on the jiu-jitsu map.
Yeah.
Until you go there and you realize that it's a country of absolute beasts, and you're, Jesus Christ, I'm getting beaten up by a white belt here. Like,
oh really? Oh my God. Yeah.
And it's like some little kid, like 14-year-old kid, and they're like running rings around you, and you're like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I get back all my belts. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah. When's the no-gi class?
Yeah. But honestly, they're incredible. So
that's amazing.
And I think there is, there are certain countries that are starting to put martial arts of some description in syllabuses of kids growing up, but it certainly has not happened here yet, and I can't see it happening here.
No.
I mean, they are there are some improvements to things like mental health. Problems, but I don't think this is on the agenda yet.
Yeah.
Even though it would solve a lot of them.
Yeah, I think if there were martial arts, mindfulness taught, and and being taught about your mental health, which obviously is happening now. Yeah, those three things. I think it'd be.
But I think the other thing, so just being a little bit topical about the lady that disappeared the other day, last week in Clapham. And obviously, I've not read the news this afternoon, but as of this morning, which is the last time I read it, they hadn't identified the human remains yet. So, but either way, it's someone's remains. So even if it's not hers, there's someone.
Yeah.
Which isn't okay in itself.
Yeah.
But just to sort of like, it's women walking alone at night shouldn't be the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be the problem. That shouldn't be what we're trying to fix. Like,
Yeah.
it is, but that shouldn't be the problem. The
No.
problem, the problem is the people the predators.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's always men, because it's not, but it is a higher percentage.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Looking, so with my clients, actually, I do quite a lot of looking into the psychology behind an attacker. And for example, an attacker is very unlikely to try and attack someone bigger than them or someone that looks stronger than them. Because most of the time, if someone is attacking someone, especially if it's at random, they are basically taking something that has been given to them and giving it out. So they're taking in pain and grief and whatever they've gone through. I'm not excusing them. I'm just saying,
sure,
probably happened. They've been bullied. They've been tormented their whole lives. And now like, well, I need to feel strong. I need to feel like I'm doing something. I need to feel like I have a purpose, whatever they're feeling. I now need to go and do that. That's what I know. That's my comfort. But I now need to go and do that to someone else so I can feel strong. And that's the problem, is that the person before that tormented them in the first place, the beginning of the chain, it could be 10 years ago, it could be 15 years ago, it could be 100 years ago, because that chain could have gone on for the last 100 years. You don't know, every case is different. But whatever's happened, wherever the start of that chain was, that's what the problem is. And
there was probably a power relationship there with someone super powerful picking on that person when they were a kid.
I mean, at the moment we don't know, is the guy that's been arrested, did he know her? Did he not know her? I mean, I'm going to check the news after we finish recording, but at the moment I don't know the answer. Either way,
he wasn't like a normal Bobby though. He was like
level, like really high up diplomat. So, but it's like, you have to kind of think about, we don't know the story, we don't know the backstory, we don't know the ins and outs, and I don't like making like assumptions. I don't know,
of course,
without knowing the full story. But whoever was responsible, whether it was him or not, whoever it was, is obviously not okay in the head. Obviously need help, and it may or may not be given to them. The cycle at some point has to be broken, and it can't just be broken with death. It has to be actively fixed. Otherwise, we're just going to be in even more of a problem. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer, by the way. I mean,
well, it's a very tough one to answer, isn't it? I mean, whether it's incarceration in prison or whether it's therapy. I mean, I know somebody that works in the prisons, and there's a lot of work done in the prisons in order to rehab, people, so that they can, be functioning and, have a place in society again after they've sort of paid their dues and done their sentence. And I think, from like a government's perspective, sort of financially, it makes good sense to make that rehabilitation work and that correction work, so that, because it's bloody expensive, keeping people incarcerated and feeding them and this and that and all the rest of it is. So, even from a really brutal, just cold economic light, it makes sense to, to work with offenders and sort of re-educate them and try and, bring them down a different path. And hopefully sometimes that works, so.
And I mean, I think sometimes it does work. I think sort of going down the prison route, which is probably another discussion in itself, but I think a lot of the problem is just the stigma attached to former prisoner. So the minute someone finds out that you've been in prison, they look at you in a different way. Friends that have been in prison, and before I knew that they were in prison, I had a perception of them. I knew that they've been, doesn't matter what for. As soon as I knew they'd been in prison, whether I was conscious of it or not, which I am more conscious of it now because I think about these things a lot, but back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, my perception would change straight away. You know, I don't know if I trust this person.
Absolutely. The trust is the first thing, isn't it?
And it doesn't matter what they were in for. It could have been completely, you know, wrongful incarceration. And I still like, well, I don't know if I trust them. All right, well, hold on a minute, Helen. Let's like look at the fucking full story first before you jump to any assumptions.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't know the whole story. You never know the whole story.
No, that's right.
No one really knows the whole story of anything. Always two sides.
Yeah, for sure.
And the rest.
So look, I want you to give some advice. Like in every episode, I reach this point and I say, right, give us some advice. And people are like, really? Are you really doing that? But like, yeah. So just take the question as you find it and give us some advice.
So completely just any advice?
You heard the question.
Okay, cool. So firstly, I'm going to be pedantic and say technically that wasn't a question.
Okay. It's a request.
Thanks. That's more like it. You can punch me later. It's fine.
It's all right.
So advice. Okay, so here's my advice. My advice is looking after you, looking after yourself should come before anything. I've been talking to a lot of people recently about, and I do this too, by the way, 1000%, and I have to constantly remind myself of it, pouring from an empty cup. So what I mean by that is, especially in lockdown, and it's been kind of exaggerated really badly in lockdown, people are very quick to look after other people, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Very quick to do things for other people. They're very quick to say yes if something's asked of them. They're very quick to agree to anything, even if they're not really sure they want to do it. And they're very quick to make everyone around them happier. And it's amazing. It's really nice. It's incredible. I think, you know, as a whole, the country has been extremely supportive of each other as a, you know, as an entire nation.
Yeah.
You know, maybe slightly excluding the government, but, you know, I guess they are a law unto themselves. But taking them out of the equation, I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the things they've done have been pretty cool, but some of the things have been really fucking shit. So, you know, there's another story. But the people, the general population, have been very supportive. There's been so many nice stories coming out of people helping, of people, you know, going above and beyond for their neighbors, for their elderly relatives, you know, everything. Nurses, they're incredible. Doctors, nurses, the whole NHS, the receptionists, everyone. They're amazing. There's the patience that they must have. Like, what? I would never have that patience. I would definitely punch someone. However, no one is looking after themselves anymore. Everyone's just fucking given up on that. And that's the problem we've got now, is that everyone's looking after everyone else, and that's amazing and that's incredible and I love it, but no one is looking after themselves anymore. And I think I kind of like, I use it as a sentence I say to a lot of people: make sure you take time for yourself. All right. Yeah. To everyone, pretty much. I don't think anyone listens to me, unfortunately, on that. When I say that, I'm like, oh, take some time for yourself. I'm like, yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah, bye. Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, okay. And so kind of recently I've been like, so when did you just last take time for yourself? And well, when did you last take time for yourself? And I'm like, no, that's not the question. When did you last take time?
Reflection.
Yeah, hold on. So I think my piece of advice is to schedule into your day a time. So maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's an hour, whatever you can do every day to just go, I'm going to do what I want to do in that time. If it's exercise, great. If that's meditating, great. If that's eating, great. Go eat some chocolate, go drink some wine. Maybe don't become an alcoholic, but you know, if you
that'd be key.
It's quicker to get rehab. So
yeah,
you might as well just do that and get rehab on the NHS, because it's much quicker to do that than if you've got a fucked up head. So
right.
True story. So look after yourself. That's
look after yourself. Okay.
Just put it in your day. Make it like I have a plan every day of what I have to do. Okay.
Yeah.
It's right in front of me. Every single day. I have this. If I do not put it in my day, it's not happening.
Right.
100%. It's not happening.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
You have to put it. And I mean, I'm not saying if I put it in, it's not 100% happening, but it's a lot more likely to happen.
Yeah, you're stacking the deck, aren't you?
Yeah, but if you plan it 7 days a week and you only do 5, that's still 5 days.
You're golden.
Yeah. Yourself.
Yeah.
That time.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it every day. Okay, just put it in. If you don't do it, okay, tomorrow. Make sure you do it tomorrow. Don't go, tomorrow. Oh, you've been saying that for a month, tomorrow or today, but nothing else, no other options. But just taking that time, just breathe. And trust me, I need to do this too. I mean, like I said, if I do not put it in my diary, my daily plan, it's not in there, it's not happening. I'm not going to make time for it. Like 100%, that's not happening. Unless I actually physically put, it literally says in break in my thing, in my daily break. And it's usually I give myself half an hour. And like, okay, if it takes longer, if it overruns, fine, like whatever. If it's less, then okay, fine. I give next time, maybe it's going to be more. But like some time to just go, cool, just breathe for a minute. Maybe I'll have a coffee, chill out, have a tea, hot chocolate. Never know.
Got it. Self-care.
Whatever. Chicken. Whatever.
Stroke a chicken, did you say?
Stroke a chicken.
Yeah.
If you've got chickens, it's quite therapeutic.
Yeah, I bet it is.
But what I'm saying, like, it doesn't. Yeah. I'm saying it with a joking tone, but I'm serious.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my advice.
Okay. Anything else? That's massive, actually. To be fair,
I think that's really the.
If you just do that, everything else will probably slot into place.
If you give yourself too much to do, you won't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Baby steps, breaking it down, kind of, having one little thing every day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I say to my clients: is I'm not asking them to do an hour's training every day. I'm asking them to do 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if they do 15 minutes 4 days a week, that is an hour, and that's an hour more than they would have done.
Absolutely.
So, and half the time they tell me, we did 15 minutes, but we wanted to do more. I'm like, oh, fuck, you're amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And they feel good as well. Like, so
and I love it. And I always tell them, like, this is it, but if you want to do more, do this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, sometimes, oh, you know what? I finished work really late. Like I didn't have time. I had no energy. You know what? Don't worry about it. Just chill. It's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
And then tomorrow, oh, you know what? I finished work late. No, make time for you now. You had that yesterday. Now you're going to make time for you. Okay. You have to be strict with yourself. If you're not strict, it's not going to happen.
Gotcha. Yeah. So how can people find you?
Instagram, pretty much.
What are your Instagrams?
My main thing. So my personal page is HH Hellraiser.
Okay.
My business page is HHH Self Defense.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Is that where you do most of your stuff on there?
I pretty much I try and post every day on the business account.
Okay.
Haven't posted yet today.
Hmm.
Busy.
Have you've got like a website and stuff like that as well, or?
Yeah, the links, everything's linked to Instagram. So basically, if you go to my Instagram, HHH
On the
self-defense,
bio, they'll be there.
yeah. Everything. You can go to my Twitter from there.
Hmm.
You can go to Facebook. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not very good at Facebook.
Hmm.
It's not my forte in life. But it exists.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But if you want to actually talk to me,
Yeah.
just Instagram or email me or my website or you know,
It's
like
easy.
all
It's easy now, isn't it?
like if you just Google HHH self-defense, I will come up.
Yeah.
And
I will
if
find you.
something seriously wrong with my SEO, but I should.
No, I'm sure that's cool.
But yeah, Instagram. It's the one. Try and be as active as possible on Instagram and forget about the others.
Oh yeah, you've got quite the following on Instagram, haven't you?
On my personal page, people are very chatty in the stories. So like I often ask a question of a weekend. I'll ask a question and I get a lot of response actually. So that's
decent.
I was doing a lot in lockdown. Got a bit busier recently, so I haven't been doing it as much. But it's been nice to, you know, it's been nice in the quieter parts of lockdown.
Yeah.
You know, people are sharing their experiences, which I think is nice because I think you always just learn something.
Yeah.
Even if someone's sort of joking around, you just learn something from it. And
no, absolutely.
You know, it's nice to hear people's sort of experiences and
people need connection, don't they? They need that connection. Yeah.
Definitely. So that's been it's been nice.
Well, man, I am so happy to have had this conversation with you. I mean, I think we've spoken quite a few times before, but it's been good to just explore, look at the whole kind of like your rise to success and, charting some of those key moments in your life. That's been really good. And I appreciate you coming on and giving me this time because I know that you are really busy.
Crazy busy.
So, this is
good. I'm really glad that we got to do it.
So what I'll do is I'll go through it and I'll edit the video and stuff like that, and then I will. It takes a bit longer, but I'm sort of creating like little in YouTube, like little chapters. So So for people that want to watch the whole thing, you can do that, and it'll be like Helen and chickens, and then it'll be a time code, so you can just click on that. It's really nice feature in like the show notes, and then it'll just go bang, and it'll have you talking about chickens.
Amazing.
So cool. But yeah. No, but I really appreciate you coming on the show and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing thing. Just out of interest, like, and your self-defense clients, are they all women or predominantly women, or is there a bit of a mix? Or
mixture, really?
Yeah.
Real mixture. I kind of I originally started marketing to women, and
sure,
quite a lot of guys being like, "Will you teach me?" I'm like,
yeah.
I'll teach anyone. Teach anyone that pays me, mate.
Yeah, they hear the Ultimate Fighter and they're like, okay, I'm good.
Well, I mean, no, guys are super respectful of me, and it's really
that's really decent.
Like, I am a girl. You could learn off a guy, and they're like, no, we want to learn off you. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's it's funny. There's that website on called Bark, isn't there? And they give you leads and stuff like that. I mean, I've always found them pretty atrocious, to be fair, but there are some, when people are going for therapy or coaching, some of them only want to see a woman, some only want to see a man, some people don't mind. So I guess it's down to the individual, isn't it? But
totally.
That's really good.
Yeah. I think ultimately you just have to get on with your coach.
It's got to be a rapport, isn't there?
If you get on with them, it doesn't really matter, I don't think.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much, my friend. Good to have you on. And I'm sure you'll have people sort of reaching out to you and watching the podcast and stuff. So I'll send you the links, when
send me all the links.
So it'll be awesome. Thank you so much.
And if you make any videos and you want me to post them on Instagram or whatever, just
sure. Yeah, I will do. Yeah, no, I'll hit you up for sure. Yeah. No, nice one, Helen. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
All right, take care. Cheers. Bye.